Prayerfully, we got better situation now. Have issues with signal being out where we be. Sometimes it bees like that. You got to be prepared for that. So my apologies. Thought we were straight, and then what I was ready to use apparently wasn't usable at the moment. But we should have mostly everybody on. So my apologies once again. We're ready to go, ready to get started, ready to go. Todag, Masha Bagay, thank you for being on with us. Prayerfully everybody can see and hear me. All right. All praise to the Most High, yeah. All right. I got another group that I got to bring on real quick. But today, hopefully everything's doing there. Yes, Yechash for our Messiah is the Most High, Yehovah Elohim. Right, and we're thankful to be attached unto Him in His love, most definitely. Welcome, come on in, everybody. My apologies, had a little bit of signal issue, but I think we got it together. Looks like we got what we need. So let's finish getting this set up. All praises. And thank you everybody for your patience. I guess actually while we're doing this, let's get started. Sorry, excuse me. Let's just go ahead. Let's get into it. May the words of my mouth and the meditation of my heart be acceptable in Yehovah's sight. He is our strength and our Redeemer, and it is in His name, which is His authority, that we pray, praise, proclaim, protect, and protect today's message. Amen. All right. Hola, mi nombre es Kofi. ¿Cómo está? Bonjour, je m'appelle Kofi. Ça va? Ni hao, namaste. Osayana Kitchawaya. Ohio. I see you. Manut, Wagwan, Kapsa, Kamsamida. Aloha, Ciao, Onson, Privet, Habarigani, Aquaba, Madaase, Etasen. Jambu, Bibini Kofi, Nida Frako, Katana, the Wewe, Boker Tov, greetings, salutations, welcome, grand rising, Bakwat Tav, Barakala Shami Khaba, Anai, Kwadain, Khilits of Christ, Mashalom Khi, Shalom at Barak, peace and blessings, Shalom at Barak. I am Pastor Kofi, Pastor Servant to Christ, where we are always changing lives one mind at a time, but being a voice of the voiceless and speaking the unspoken. We thank you for your presence once again. We are honored to be with you one more again. We are continuing to go through the Word, go through the series that we've been in since January 1st, where we'll be dealing with Revelation, the series called #We Be the Nation, Revelation. So we're excited and thankful and grateful for what the Most High is doing, and prayerfully is continuing to do in your life. Prayerfully you are continuing to allow in your life, and we're excited about where this is taking us in this series. So, as a reminder, hopefully, prayerfully today, I will have a phone again at some point. That means I also have to have time to turn it back on and everything, but that prayerfully means I can reach out to everybody. Let us not also forget about those who are coming to the Savannah, Georgia trip, May 21st to the 24th for Memorial Day weekend. And let's not forget that we need to make sure that all those things are in order. And if you filled out the form, and even if you haven't filled out the form, make sure that everything's taken care of and everything's ready to be sent where it needs to be sent. May 30th coming up is going to be Pentecost. We're working out details for Detroit. May the 30th. Let us not forget that April 30th, coming up actually sooner than later, is going to be our makeup Passover. Let us not forget this Saturday coming up is going to be, which is April the 18th. In the evening, we'll be doing several preachers. SOC will be meeting with several preachers, other assemblies. We'll be coming together for a seven last word service. Women's meeting coming up on Friday, men's meeting coming up on Saturday. We're having a meeting up probably the time. But all that stuff is happening, so let us not forget all those different things. We appreciate you. And we get ready to get into this word. We're going today to Revelation chapter 18. We're going to Revelation chapter 18. We did Revelation 17 in its entirety yesterday. Today we shall do Revelation chapter 18 in its entirety. All praises to the Most High, yeah? So if you're able to turn there, we ask that you do so at this moment in time. And if you're able to, if you can rise your feet in reverence of Yehovah's word, or however you're able to reverence the word of Yahweh, we ask that you do so at this moment in time. We're going to go into chapter 18. And today, if we had to put a theme on today, we're going to call today come out of her sorcery. All praises to the Most High. There's going to be an excellent word today. Prayerfully, you ready for it? Come out of her sorcery. I felt that in my shundo. All righty. Come out of her sorcery. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. All praises to the Most High. Yeah. All righty. We just about got everything together finally. Thank you for working with us as we got our signal details in order. I think we finally got everything up and even the platforms that are there. So once again, we're going to Revelation chapter 18. Once you have it, say amen. I got it. I'm with you. I'm listening. I'm on. I agree. I share. Let it be done unto me. All right. Revelation chapter 18. We're going to read it in its entirety while you're turning there, standing to your feet. Let's say shalom to everybody. How you doing, Elder Anais? How you doing, Cultural Prospect? Brother Dwayne, Sister Bet, Callum, Sister Carla. Let's see, Amin Loves Jesus is gone already, right? How you doing, Sister Deborah, Greta, Double OG, Triple OG, Sister Tabitha, Mitch, Rodney. I'm sorry, Uibhuls, I don't know how to say it. UIBHULS, Tam C66, Sister Regina, Menachem, Cole, Lania, Sister Donna, David Lee, Ritual, let's see, Gregory Mays, K. Lee, Faye, Prendergrass. And if I missed anybody in there, charge it to my head, not to my heart. It's not my intention to miss anybody. We're thankful and grateful to have everybody on with us. Once again, we are going to read Revelation chapter 18 in its entirety. Once you have it, say amen, I got it, I'm with you, I'm listening, etc. All right, looks like the amens and the gods have it. All praises. Revelation chapter 18, here we go. Revelation chapter 18, here we go. It reads as follows. It said, I'm sorry, Bible pledge first, excuse me. Repeat after me. How you doing, Sister Monique? This is my Bible. This is my sword. And this will I trust. For Yahshua is Lord. No sword of God shall ever be heard. For this is my Bible. And this is Yahshua. Hashem Yehovah, Aman. Yehovah Shem, his name is authority. Let it be done unto us. How you doing, Sister Sherry? Revelation chapter 18, it reads as follows. It says, and after these things, I saw another angel come down from heaven, having great power, and Arat, and the earth was lightened with his glory. And he cried mightily with a strong voice, saying, Babylon, the great is fallen, and has become the habitation of devils, and the hold of every foul spirit, and a cage of every clean and hateful bird. For all nations have drunk the wine of the wrath of her fornication, and the kings of Arat, the kings of the earth, have committed fornication with her, and the merchants of the earth have waxed rich through the abundance of her delicacy. And I heard another voice from heaven saying, come out of her, my people. Come out of her, my nation. Come out of her, Yahweh. Come out of her, come out of her. Come out of her, my people. That ye be not partakers of her sins, and that ye receive not her plagues. For her sins have reached unto heaven. At Elohim hath remembered her iniquities. Reward her, even as she reward her, even as she rewarded you, and double unto her, double according to her works. In the cup which she hath filled, right? The cup she has filled her to her double. How much she hath glorified herself and lived deliciously. So much torment and sorrow give her, for she saith in her passion, in her heart, I sit a queen, and am no widow, and shall see no sorrow. Therefore shall her plagues come in one day, death and mourning and famine, and she shall be utterly burned with fire. For strong is Yehovah Elohim, who judgeth her. And the kings of the earth, who have committed fornication and lived deliciously with her, shall bewail her and lament for her. And they shall see the smoking of her burning, standing afar off for the fear of her torment, saying, Alas, alas, that great city Babylon, that mighty city, for in 1 hour is thy judgment come. And the merchants of the earth shall weep and mourn over her, for no man buyeth their merchandise anymore. The merchandise of gold and silver and precious stones and of pearls, and fine linen and purple and silk and scarlet and thyine wood and all manner vessels of ivory and all manner of vessels of most precious wood and of brass and iron and marble and cinnamon and odors and ointments and frankincense and wine and oil and fine flour and wheat and beasts and sheep and horses and chariots and slaves and souls of men. Nobody will buy them. And the fruits that thy soul lusted after and departed from thee, and all things which were dainty and that were considered to be great resources are departed from thee, and thou shalt find them no more at all. The merchants of these things, which were made rich by her, shall stand afar off of the fear of her torment, weeping and wailing, and saying, Alas, alas, the great city that was clothed in fine linen and purple and scarlet and decked with gold and precious stones and pearls, for in 1 hour so great riches is come to naught. And every shipmaster and all the company in ships and sailors and as many as trade by sea stood afar off and cried when they saw the smoke of her burning, saying, What city is like unto this great city? And they cast dust on their heads. Sackcloth and ashes were coming up. They cast dust on their heads and cried, weeping and wailing, saying, Alas, alas, that great city wherein we were made rich. All that had ships in the sea by reason of her costliness. For in 1 hour she is made desolate. Rejoice over her, heaven, and holy apostles and prophets, for Elohim hath avenged you on her. And a mighty angel took up a stone, like a great millstone. You'll recall Craig talked about this millstone before. And a mighty angel, a mighty messenger, took up a stone, like a great millstone, and cast it into the sea, saying, Thus with violence shall that great city Babylon be thrown down, and shall be found no more at all. And the voice of harpers and musicians and of pipers and trumpeters shall be heard no more at all in thee. And no craftsman of whatsoever craft he be shall be found any more in thee. And the sound of a millstone shall be heard no more at all in thee. And the light of a candle shall shine no more at all in thee. And the voice of the bridegroom and the bride shall be heard no more at all in thee. For thy merchants were the great men of the earth, for by thy sorceries were all nations deceived. And in her was found the blood of prophets and of saints and of all that were slain upon the earth. We just read Revelation chapter 18 in its entirety. May Yehovah barak those who read this, hear this, and keep this, and may he protect those at Char Ma'agadah who are willing to stand with him on the hill as the enemy loses everything. You may be seated to go back to what you're doing in the presence of the Most High Yah. All praises. Come on, that's a word right there. We could close the doors right there. Yep, and I'm sorry, sister. I know you're asking about the money stuff. I'm not ducking you. I've been saying over and over again, I know you only come on to be able to say you need help if you go off. But if you've heard enough of the message, you probably heard. I'll probably just send you something, since it's not really about getting into the message and doing that stuff, right? With that being said, my phone and I fell into a river. So, and you're already gone already, so you're not even worried about that. So we'll send you something, and then after that, it seems it's all you want. And even with that, I'm not sure if you actually need something, but since we can't get you something, we'll probably be able to send a little bit of something. All praise. That being said, this word right here, right, is powerful. Revelation chapter 18 in its entirety. Revelation chapter 18 in its entirety. This is powerful. This is telling us some things. And once again, Holy Spirit gave us the title today. Right. By the way, once again, if you haven't been with us throughout the series, this is a series we've been doing since January 1st. So if you have questions and you say, hey, I haven't heard this part, or where are you getting this from, we have a whole series. It's recorded. You can go look at it and go listen to it. You can check it out on a couple different platforms, right? And we got it set up like a playlist. So you can even go to a different platform, if you, or depending on which platform if you're here, you can stay here. If you're on another platform listening today, you can go to a different platform. You can be able to research it and study and catch up for yourself, right? But we're doing this in January 1st. So Revelation 17 in its entirety yesterday to figure out who the harlot was, the great harlot was, right? And then who the 10 horns were, and to see who the beast is. And now we're seeing ultimately was left in her destruction. All praises to the Most High. This is a great word for those who are separated from the world. And this is a so-so word, or this is a scary word for those who are not separate from the world, right? And if we even notice some of the language, some of the things that are said, we have to be careful, because these are the beginning of sorrows, according to Matthew 24. Yet we're being told that things that we're seeing right now are happening right now at this moment. And just a quick recap from yesterday, and how you doing on Gundam? Please forgive me for not saying so earlier. Thanks for being part of the community. If you recall from yesterday, right, when we were speaking on this thing, excuse me, that we have now gone through the process of seeing the devil, right, the serpent, 7 heads, 10 horns, right? Who's the same serpent, but now has grown from Genesis chapter 3, who has gone after the woman Israel, or really went after the woman's son, our Messiah. Israel has separated himself. The Messiah ultimately gets victory. The devil, our adversary, the accuser of the brethren, the accuser of us, has ultimately been shot down to earth at this point, right? And how you doing, Shannon? How you doing, Liquid? Thanks for being part of the community. Liquid, FM, DJ Savage, SoundCloud. Thanks for being on with us. How you doing, WAP Academy? Right? So now the adversary has been struck down, right? Is in the earth, not in hell. That's Revelation 20. No, we're still in Revelation 18. But back in Revelation 12, the adversary has been struck down, has no access to heaven anymore. Right? And thank y'all for the love. Thank you for the like, share, subscriptions, hit the notification tab, the hypes, even those who give donations, whether it be time, talent, effort, energy, or yes, even financial help, including money that helps us do what we do around the world. Even your time on here, we thank you so much. Thank you for the reposts, all that reason. All right. So, how you doing, Lady Watson? So we have the devil has already lost. He's been kicked down to the earth. And I say that again because we have to recognize that a lot of us keep thinking, this is one of the reasons why Babylon the Great is hard to see in the New World Order piece that we talked about. We use that term because that's what a lot of persons know it as, right? Whatever you know it as, Illuminati, New World Order, person behind the scenes, some would say Lizard Man, etc., whatever it is, Knights Templar, whatever, right? These fraternities, bourgeoisie, etc., they're really all part of the same beast, right? But we talked about how the devil has been kicked down to the earth. He's not in hell. The adversary is not in hell. He's walking around to and fro seeking whom he may devour. Correct? That's scripture. That's word, right? But because big brother Dwayne, right, we'll talk about this, how we missed this, but we were taught that the most, that the greatest trick of the devil was to get you to believe that he doesn't exist. But what about what about the trick being that you don't even believe that he's in the earth? Some of you believe he exists, but you think he's in hell. But he's walking around seeking whom he may devour. That's why you need to be prayed up more than at any other time. Because while we're talking about all this stuff happening, you don't think that he's on the earth. You think that he stopped possessing folk? You think the fallen angels stopped possessing folk? You think fallen angels, it says just as in the days of Noah, you think that the fallen angels that are here on the earth, that have fallen down with him, that are going to and fro, that were talking to Christ when he was here and he had to speak against them and rebuke them and send them into the pigs, right? You believe that all of a sudden that doesn't exist anymore? Oh, this series is so about. Look. We've fallen for the okie doke. One of the greatest tricks of the enemy is that you think that the adversary is in hell and is only somehow standing on his throne and sitting at a person. And he is walking to and fro. I don't know whether verse, Sister Daniel. He's walking to and fro. Can I devour him? Can I devour her? Come on, that's what Christ told him. Come on, be not deceived. He said, what should we look for at the end times? It's Matthew 24. And before he gets into all the stuff about person will come in my name, and they'll get you guys to be afraid of wars, and rumors of wars, and they'll get you to think the end is coming because of the earthquakes and all this. What? Hold on. They're saying that the live is limited. Can you guys not see me? See, that's what I say. You can tell they've been saying nonsense on this stuff. Hold on one second. They're saying, oh, misinformation. What misinformation did I get? We talking about Bible here. Yeah, the devil is a lie. All right. So this word is going to be really, really great today. I can see it already. They're saying I'm spitting misinformation, literally telling you the Bible. Now, if somebody wants to give you Talmud, it's not misinformation. Somebody wants to give you Quran, it's not misinformation. Somebody wants to tell you it's about Christianity, it's not misinformation. Okay. All right, the devil, I see you. And you messed up because you gave only 10 minutes anyway. I'm going way longer than that, devil. You have no power, right? But the adversary is not in hell. He thinks that's misinformation. The adversary is not in hell. That's interesting. All praise to the Most High. How you doing, Brother Jacob? How you doing, Sister Shima? Think about that. It's getting mad at me and saying I'm giving misinformation and trying to take me off because I would dare tell you that the devil is not in hell, but he's on the earth now. That's powerful right there. Oh, that's powerful right there. I've never. That's powerful. All right, I'm on. All praises to the Most High. So hear me, beloved. Right? Catch this. One of the greatest tricks is to get you united to fight something that's not, or to think we shouldn't fight because you don't think that the war is right at your doorstep. When you go outside and you're dealing with persons, you're dealing with demons inside of them as well. Not just only nice spirits and things like that, but some are led by the devil. Remember that not everybody's considered, even from Genesis, not everybody is considered to be a child of the Most High. Many are considered to be children of the devil. Christ told us that there were religious leaders, and he said that their father, their source, their Abba is Atatan. I'm on, Sister Beth. I'm on, Elder Anais. That's right. The enemy is the prince of the air. He tried to mess with the airways. Come on, right? But the adversary, our adversary has no power. The only way he has power is if you're out of position and if you therefore leave the door open. But our adversary, the devil, is like a roaring lion, walking around seeking whom he may devour. Right? But he's already been kicked down to earth, and he tried to come at Israel, but Israel mounted up his eagle's wings and went further into the wilderness. That's Revelation 12. So therefore, he couldn't get to us, so he sent water, people, out of his mouth. He sent his people. He spoke a word unto them and told them, go and get Israel. And they tried to get us, but the earth, the clay, we are the clay. So we have a standard that opened up and swole up and it caught all the water, caught all the people that came out of Satan's mouth. So they couldn't get to Israel. So now what happens is, out of his anger and frustration, he can't get to the Messiah. He's lost already. He's a defeated foe. He tries to get Israel because that's who birthed the Messiah, right? That's who, when we talk about being born again, we go through Israel. We go through the kingdom. We go through those 144,000, those that must be sealed. He's upset he can't get to us. So what does he do? He turns his attention to the remnant that are in the earth. Amen. We still with it. How you doing, Brother Yechesab? Right? He turns his attention to the remnant in the earth. Come on, somebody. He turns his attention to the remnant. There's those who still can become Yechadasha'ah. He turns his attention to the remnant that is in the earth. And by the way, the way that is, just to let the person know, if you barak us, you'll be barak. If you curse us, you'll be cursed. The person who did that, just letting you know, it's already there. I can see, right? I can see that you did it on behalf of the devil. You don't even, man, realize you did it on his behalf, but you don't recognize your Bible tells you the devil is not in here. He is right here. You can be frustrated all you want, right? So, in all those things, how you doing, Brother Darius? In all those things that we're saying today, right? Catch this. That demonic entities are walking around, but they have been defeated, but they turn their attention away from the kingdom, or those who are truly in the kingdom, and they start trying to reach the remnant. Those who are truly in the kingdom are those who are truly separate from the world, right? We might be in it, but we're not of it. The clay, he is the potter, we are the clay. The clay is separate from the iron. Those who mix iron and clay together, those who mix romantic values, those who mix Eastern romantic values, Western romantic values together, right? You are a different breed because you're different children. I hope you got that in the spirit. I hope you got that. You're a different breed of person because you're a different child. You're not the same. You and I are not the same. If you are talking about Jesus and I'm talking about Yeshua, right? You might be on your path to Yeshua, but you're not talking about the same person I am. If you're talking about God and I'm talking about Elohim, you might be on your path towards Elohim, possibly, but you're not in the same place yet. You're the remnant, right? It has to be the remnant that can come from the world and be able to come into the kingdom. So out of the people of the Satan to attack the remnant and try to stop Israel from gaining any more ground that she already is because they're a defeated foe, right? Their God, Atatan, the adversary, commands them to build a beast, right? They know half breed. Oh, come on, that's spiritual. That's spiritual half breed. Come on now, right? You say you this, right? There's no half nation. I'm not calling you a dog. I'm telling you there's no half nation. There's no halfway in, halfway out. Some of y'all get what we're talking about, some of you don't. All praises. How you doing, Minister Akita? So these persons are halfway. A lot of these persons not all the way in. How you doing, Tricky Fire? A lot of these persons not all the way in what they're supposed to be doing, but there's a beast. There's a first beast in Revelation chapter 13 that comes out of the water, that comes out of the people that follow the Satan, that they are his children. And they built a government. This government had 7 heads. This government, 7 heads are it's been the same beast, the same body, the same government, but there's been 7 figureheads, 7 puppet states. The first puppet state was Kemet, the second puppet state Assyria, the third puppet state Babylon, the fourth puppet state Medo-Persians, the fourth empire, the fifth puppet state Greece, the sixth puppet state Rome, the seventh puppet state Christianity, or anybody that mixes iron with clay. So you can talk about Christianity, you can talk about a lot of Buddhism, you can talk about being a Muslim, you can talk about some so-called followers of the way. You can talk about Israelis. You can talk about Ashkenazi. You can talk about Khazarian. The list goes on and on and on. Many persons who want to mix, those who talk about Christ consciousness, right? A lot of persons like Oprah and that ilk who made that a big thing. Tony Robbins even, where we'll take certain little things here or there, but we won't actually say that, the true power, not just a higher power, but there's only one high power. Right? There's only one power. There's only one true Elohim. Everything else is an idol. Right? Well, that's even worshiping the image of the beast. Right? But same thing. So then we have a second beast that pops up after that. So we have the Satan, the adversary, who's shown. Right? Then we have the first beast that's shown. Right? That comes up out of the waters. Then we have that's the government. Then we have another beast that pops up that's really like an antichrist spirit who has the number of a name, Nebuchadnezzar, right? Caesar Nero, that type of authority, written upon their forehead and their right hand, and they teach and preach to persons to worship a false image, right? To worship the image of the beast. And therefore, by doing that, they get power back unto our adversary, unto the Satan. Now, when they do this, it also makes it a point to tell us that they look like they're on solid ground, which means that if you are not aware enough to be able to catch things for yourself, it looks like they're saying things that are on solid, they stand on solid ground. They even look like they have similarities to the Lamb. However, when you pay attention to what comes out of their mouth, they sound exactly like their father. They're exactly like the one they represent. They sound just like the serpent. And how you doing, Brother Dennis? How you doing, Gummy? Right, everybody, please forgive me for missing. Try to turn my head down to my heart. Right? Well, yeah, when you talk about buying and purchasing power, we do the whole thing as far as saying that means there can be some similarities to that, right? Especially because really, if you're even looking at the buying power stuff, persons forget about the 4 horsemen, right? So if you go back to the 4 horsemen, the first horseman, he conquers for conquering's sake. The second horseman, he has a fake version of a sword or a lesser sword or a fake version of the word that he uses to get us to fight against each other. The third horseman then comes behind that and executes a plan in which he uses our fighting against each other. He uses it as an opportunity to be able to raise the prices on everything, so that by the time we get to the 4th horseman, everything's falling apart. We can't do anything about it. So when you even get to the purchasing power, that's not even that's already done, right? But if you look at what's going on, especially culturally, what's going on there, when somebody would show their forehead, right? Scriptures would usually be written on the forehead, or even when you talk about the great harlot, right? She would have had her whole face covered except for her forehead and her eyes. Everything else It's covered. So that's where you can see the authority at. If it's in your hand, it means that your power, you can't make a move. So if it's written upon your head, right, that authority, it means you're one of the heads of a company, corporation, something like that. Written upon your hand, you can't even make a move without having that authority upon you if you're in their system, right? And many persons want to do everything through their system. They want to do everything public, not private, right? That's a big part of it as well. So you have that, but then after that, you also have to recognize, besides that, it says that they get you to worship the image of the beast and the number of the name, the authority that's on there is Nefen Kusad, right? Which would be 603 score and 6 in Hebrew, or 616. So we're talking about those who are also false prophets as well. So these are not, we're looking at that as being like they're the same as the government. They uphold the government, right? But these are the ones that preach the word. Now you can preach it from a government pulpit, you can preach it from a church pulpit, you can preach it from a social media pulpit, you can preach it from a bunch of different places. But these are those who proclaim the word on behalf of the Satan, getting persons to worship false images of the beast, false images of what the chashva look like, false images of what marriage is, false image of what the church is, false image of what the way is, false image of who Christ is, false image of what the law is. They get you to worship these false images. That's what their main thing is, because if they can get you to do that, then you'll give all your authority, whether it be written upon your head or written upon your hand, you'll give it back to the beast. Same thing happens with the fourth beast when we skipped over yesterday, not skipped over, but we've been doing the series for a long time. Yesterday, when we skip over if we can skip over real quick to what we went into yesterday, Revelation chapter 17, it tells us that there's this other beast that pops up that basically has similarities, works for the same thing, but it has the great harlot, her name upon her authorities, right? Persons who are selling themselves out, your king selling you out and getting y'all drunk, getting you from where you can't even be clear-minded or sober-minded because your kings are selling you out, trying to get pleasure and stuff like that, or your persons who you look up to, they're trying to get pleasures and they're willing to have all of you be compromised and have penalties, right? You'll end up drinking the blood of the saints unknowingly, right? So it says that this next beast shows up, and this next beast, when it shows up, has the great harlot, whose names upon her forehead are Mystery, are Babylon the Great, are the Queen of Harlots, and is the Abomination, right? Those four, really it's one long name, one long authority, but that's who she is, right? Right? So it's one long name, there's one long authority, and she is somebody that we believe has power, but really everybody's been given power and stuff like that. She's been getting drunk off the blood of the saints, so they've been selling us out. They've been getting drunk off the blood of the saints and the blood of the martyrs, right? The faithful witnesses, right? And we talked about in this series who the saints actually are. What is this? Was he preaching when he had a home, or just now? Who are you talking about? You talking about me? You talking about Christ? I don't even. We got to get he. You got to help me out. If we're gonna do apologetics and stuff like that, I got to be able to comprehend. Right? No offense, just saying. I'm trying to make sure I'm there. How you doing, Sister Monica? Grand Rising to you. So, how you doing, Sister Jennifer? If I didn't say so already. So, in this stuff that's going on, we have to recognize first and foremost what is happening, right? What's happening? So now we get this beast that basically, we refer to nowadays. You hear persons use the term New World Order, and it tells us that persons don't realize it. They say, well, is it there? Is it not there? Is it a conversation? Is it real? Is it not? But it really is there, and we have this woman who sits on top of it. That person make the mistake of believing that that's what you should be given to. And so the persons are selling their soul, they're selling their people out, they're selling us out. But then it makes it a point to say that there are 10 horns, and these 10 horns are kings, right? And these 10 horns are kings. You thought I was a homeless dude in the woods, but even if I was, John the Baptist was considered to be homeless. Yeah, he was the greatest born amongst all women. What does that have to do with me telling the truth? I've been homeless a long time ago. It was 15, 16, time flies, 15, 16 years ago for a minute. But what does that have to do with the word? Even if I was. I mean, whatever. You do what you need. If your whole thing was to be like, oh, you're homeless. Damn. That's your issue. All right. Anyways, hey, have a great day, or stay on, or do whatever. Hey, man, how you doing? Is it Gene or John Rincher? I'm not sure how to pronounce it. How you doing, Empress Alliance? All right. So all praise to the Most High. I do travel a lot, and I don't mind staying out and camping and go to the woods as I go cross country and stuff, and go to other countries. But yeah, I'm doing fine. The Most High takes care of my family and I. Yeah, they call me for real, for real. How you doing, Sister Sheila? So, and all the different things we're talking about. Yeah, so back to the actual point. Right, when we're talking about Revelation, we're getting to this place where we see that there's this new world order kind of piece, and the 10 horns represent those who are not traditional kings. They don't have the power that we think of, and naturally call them kings or presidents. They're not easy to see, but they have power. They have a real, true power. And it says that they actually realize that their power comes from the beast, from the new world order, from the thing that persons are arguing does it exist, does it not exist. Right? So those things being said, they get all this stuff together, they get this information, they finally realize that the Jezebel spirit is not something they can use anymore, right? And it's really, they selling out to that doesn't really make sense. They might as well just be attached to the actual satanic power behind the throne. And so they leave. That alone, matter of fact, they start to rip it apart, and they start to leave it desolate, and they leave nothing left. So this is where we picked up today when we started the Revelation chapter 18. This is where it picks up, where those those persons who used to put so much stuff into this great harlot, this Babylon the Great, they have seen her fall. They have seen her fall, and they're freaking out. They're standing back afar. They don't want anything to do with her destruction. But at the same time, they lament that she's falling apart. And then now we're seeing the eighth beast be in position. But there's still punishment that must come through. All praises to the Most High. See, a lot of persons miss this. They're seeing the punishment. They're seeing the punishment. We're about to see the rest of this, for real, is just going to be a victory lap. Once we get to Revelation 19, and prayerfully we'll be on, what's today, Tuesday? Tuesday, yeah, we're supposed to get the phone today, prayerfully. So, prayerfully we'll be on tomorrow. I can't guarantee we'll be on tomorrow. I'll make an announcement, as we always do. Prayerfully we'll be on this evening as well, but we do have to make sure we're going to be going back and forth doing our stuff as a family, and also making sure that we're doing stuff dedicated to the land and all that. So you're going to see us moving back and forth quite a bit. So, but prayerfully, we haven't had a day off in a long time, and not because just because that's where we're being pushed. I feel great. I'm not feeling bad or anything, just to make it clear, because y'all know I'll overwork myself, but I'm in the zone. I'm doing well. Been exercising. We've been getting rest. I promise you. So mamas and big sisters and little sisters and big brothers and dad father figures don't get up on me. Right? I promise you. Yeah. I just was thinking about this the other day. We really haven't had a break probably since about a week or two before. No, probably about 3 or 4 weeks before Passover, right? We've been doing our thing. All praise. With that being said, the Most High is worthy. But I'm just saying, just in case you're looking for us tomorrow and possibly tonight, we should be fine for tonight, but possibly tomorrow. There's a big possibility. I'm not gonna say it's guaranteed, and even if it does, I might just come on later in the day. That being said, there's a possibility that we may not be on tomorrow. So if not, I will make sure that I let you guys know that we won't be on. Okay? But anyways, so whether it's tomorrow or whether it's so whether it's tomorrow or whether it's Saturday, when we get into Revelation 19, we're going to really see that at this point, after chapter 18, we're taking a victory lap. Really, if you know what revel, right? Remember, revelation means to rejoice. It is not our revelation, it's Christ's revelation. But if you are a fellow heir of Christ, not being someone who readeth this, heareth this, and keepeth this, then what he reveals and rejoices in is what we rejoice in. So really, this whole thing has been a victory lap for us, while others have been afraid of it. But starting Revelation 19 on, there's no doubt at this point, victory belongs to Yahshua. How you doing until daybreak? Victory belongs to the Most High Yah. Victory belongs to Yahweh Elohim. It always has, right? We've been tricked into believing that it has not. It always has belonged to Him. It belongs to Him right now. It belonged to Him yesterday. It belongs to Him tomorrow. Tomorrow is already promised, because victory belongs to Yahshua, right? It belongs to Yahweh Elohim. It belongs to Elohim. It belongs to Elohim Shaddai. It belongs, therefore, to His bride. It belongs to Yahshua. It belongs to the Dachat Shemayim. It belongs to us by proxy. All praises to the Most High, right? Victory belongs. How you doing, Brother Jermaine? It's done. It's already done. It's already done. It's concluded. So we don't have to worry. See, this is why, look, why worry about tomorrow when tomorrow has already taken care of the things of itself, even sufficient to the evil thereof. All the evil that we're seeing and talking about is already taken care of, is done. Why are you anxious? Why do you cry over spilt milk? Okay, hello, Jesus is the truth. Thank you for that. Yahashua did say that he is the way, the truth, and the life, right? No man gets to Abba except by him. That being said, I don't know what that has to do with what we're talking about. I appreciate you. I guess that was somebody being on here. I gotta make sure I see it. I see a BHI on here. Let's deal with that real quick. I gotta make sure I tell him. Okay. All right. All praises to the Most High. You're right. I wish you really knew him for who he was, because then you would exalt. You would see me, right? When my soul makes her boast in Yahweh, right? You being humble would hear it, and you would be glad, and then we would look through the same prism and magnify his name together, and make sure that others can taste and see that he is in fact righteous, right? But anyways, it is what it is. So, and all the stuff that's going on in Revelation chapter 18, right? We're really getting to a place where, once again, today's theme is come out of her sorcery. To the remnant that's there, destruction is look, how much do you have to see that is making less and less? And how much do you have to see persons dealing with immorality? How much do you have to see the persons didn't even care about the immorality that the United States corporation was doing until their pockets were here? I need you to see even the sorcery in that way. And we're going to get to this word sorcery in a little bit. But the sorcery, have you ever thought about the fact that the sorcery that's going on, that the things that are these magic tricks that they're pulling on us are so vast and so great and so crazy and so awful that persons didn't even care about what was happening to others until they now are saying the average of, and I don't know what it is now, the last time I checked, the average of the gas pump was $5.11 across the United States of America, and now everybody's losing their stuff. Oh, well, Trump came in and he doing blah, blah. Biden was doing blah, blah. You didn't care. Well, Trump said he's going to pardon all of the persons that are with him and da, da, da. Then he said it was just a joke. Well, Biden did it for real. Why are you left and right? It's the same bird. Trump is racist. Biden said if you don't vote for him, you're not black. And he told black persons that they had no history. He told you were super predators. He said back in the day in the 90s that you should not have any kind of things to make sure that you have food and stuff coming from the government. He made it a point to bury one of the most racist persons and give his eulogy and say that that was his mentor. He's a Dixiecrat, and y'all still had Kamala leading the charge, having everybody clap, talking about he was the greatest president in the history of the United States. If he is, he ain't nothing more, but it's nothing more but par for the course. These persons don't care about you. And it's not just Candace Owens that doesn't care about you. Because y'all, that's easy. It's easy to pick out, the ones that rhyme with moon. It's easy to pick them out. And how you doing just for fun? Thanks for being part of the community. That's light work. But Snoop doesn't care about you. Supposedly, I don't know because people be making stuff up about themselves. But supposedly he sold what he sold to your community off to you, right? Then had somebody show you how he could make more money off you by giving you a negative message again. Then went ahead and started making money off of other persons and then started getting on y'all. And now he's become the new Suge Knight over death row, doing the same thing that Suge did to others. Didn't help out his own family. Warren G told him he was going to have to make it on his own. Then wanted to act like him and Nate Dogg was like this. Told you guys that he knew about the Nas and Tupac situation and it wasn't even what it was. Nas had to come out and tell y'all he was lying about that. But y'all think that these persons are for you. These persons are all... Look, can I tell you something? You can't be Jay-Z. Look, if their stories are real, you can't be Jay-Z as Snoop and well, Biggie ain't still around, but let's say Biggie, put him in there. All these persons, you can't be these persons and sell this stuff and poison your community and not have the government not know that you did it. That means these dudes are informants. Let's speak street vernacular, the sorcery. Because I'm saying, come out of the sorcery. Babylon is falling. It's falling. You're getting to see it prophesied. You're seeing some of this stuff happen. How you doing, Sister Taylor? Babylon has fallen. How you doing, Levon? Babylon has fallen. How you doing, Kelvin? Babylon has what? Has fallen. You're seeing, right? Let they keep telling you stop paying attention to the man behind the curtain. No, pay attention. How you doing, Julia Davis? Thanks for being part of the community. Babylon has fallen. Babylon the greatest of harlots, the mother of all harlots. Sold you out. Everybody was selling themselves out, and now she's being stripped apart. She's being revealed for who she truly is. How you doing, Doc? Right? It's not about what they believe, about what you believe. Well, I'm on, and we should believe in what the I'm on. We should believe in what it tells us. We should believe in what it tells us, in the truth of what it tells us. And how you doing, Eric? Yeah, all the presidents are the same. The president sets your precedents. So here you are listening to these fools, and they doing all this stuff, and you're not realizing that they still leading you astray. They're still selling you down the river. They're still using sorcery. Right? If I make it a little plain for you, right? Not only are you dealing with the informants, not only a person's poisoning your street, but you want to keep, lifting them up. Right? They're showing you how to have beef, but they're not showing you how to make money. Right? The ones who make songs about making money, you call them cornballs and stuff like that, because death is more important to, even when they beefing at to make sure that they're killing each other with their words, and we got to figure out who's the best killer and yada yada yada. Jay-Z would tell you about bringing all this peace or whatever, told Kaepernick that we don't need to take no more knees and stuff like that, and now he has it to where, you guys didn't even think about stuff, but you say, oh, he's doing a great thing because he had Kendrick Lamar be in the Super Bowl, and then he had Bad Bunny. To be honest with you, that didn't change anything in your community. I'm not saying Kendrick's performance was great. Bad Bunny's performance, I'm gonna be honest, I'm just not a fan. I love música puertorriqueña, or puertorriqueña, yeah, right? Música puertorriqueña, I don't know, right? Puertorriqueño, right? Right? I have no problem with that. I love Teano. That being said, though, as a musician, his music just don't hit for me. It's really simple. It's just kind of whatever. But if that's your thing, that's your thing. That being said, when that performance happened, what happened with Puerto Rico? What happened with Trump and the S-hole countries? What happened with blah, blah? Oh, did anything change? It's sorcery. It's sorcery. Right? Regardless of how you feel about it, some person be like, well, Bad Bunny, he wears dresses sometimes. But, so did your boy, for those of you in the hip-hop, so did your boy down there in Georgia, right? A bunch of them have now everybody wears. Right? But what was his name? The one that a long time ago where he was just coming out? Right? And he took persons thought he was going to take Lil Wayne's place. This stuff has been here. Yeah, Young Thug, right? Like this stuff been here. But Babylon's falling, and you're seeing the stuff. You're seeing the destruction. We can't act like we're not seeing destruction. And persons thinking that the word is nothing, and persons have sold their souls out. But the only persons that really gonna be standing after this are gonna be the ones who start stripping that harlot apart, and she's being exposed for who she is. Well, I don't celebrate Jesus. I don't worship Jesus. But if you want to talk about where was he during slavery, I don't know. Where was Isis? Where was Osiris? Where was Heru? Now, Jesus is half man, half Zeus. That's not even who you should be asking about. But even still, where was Isis? Where was Horus? Where was the Yarija? Where was the Necha? Where is the Deus? Where is the deity? It's a bad argument. Unless you just say you don't believe in anything. If you don't believe in anything, well, cool. We just have a difference in belief. You do what you do. But if that's your mindset of you're celebrating a white Jesus, and you don't realize that I don't celebrate Jesus, number one, because Jesus means happy and Zeus, and even Yehoshua, the Messiah, would not want you to call him that, number one. And number two, like, let's not pretend that you even know what we're talking about, because if you want to talk about even in slavery, well, then what goes on with First African Baptist Church where they made Field Order 15? What happens there in Savannah, Georgia? Who were the persons who actually gave you the stuff that got you 40 acres and a mule? Who were the persons that fought for you, right? Who were the persons of Haiti who fought and didn't get what they were promised here in the Americas in the Revolutionary War, so they go to Haiti and become kings and priests over there, right? Who were the persons that literally were already over here and were from West Africa and stuff who are considered to be Negro. Who is a Negro considered to be even in places like Spain and Portugal until the Spanish Inquisition? You came to the wrong place if you don't have answers like that. If your whole thing was to say somebody whitewashed something, yeah, they could whitewash quite a few things. But where were your so-called gods too? If that's going to be the mindset, that's a bad argument. If your argument is because the Most High didn't stop chattel slavery, then, right, and therefore that means he doesn't exist, and he has no purpose, or even if he does exist, he's weak. Then my question to you is, where are the people that you existed? And if you think that you're God, right, God, because some of y'all be talking about that, if you think you're God, then peep game, then where were you? And if you think you're God, still, then where are you now? Bad argument, right? That's what, once again, Babylon getting revealed. It's not that difficult, right? Get kingdom in your head. Get culture in your head, right? It's not Salah, right? Get culture in your head. You got the wrong mindset. You got the wrong mindset, right? You got the wrong mindset. If we're gonna go down that path, you got the wrong mindset. You have to be careful with that. Okay, but where was Jesus? I don't worship Jesus. We're at ease with our scorn, and we're supposed to have scorn for ourselves. We're supposed to have contempt. We're supposed to be filled with contempt for us. But we're not anymore. That's the problem. That image of Elohim, yeah, Jesus not a white man, shouldn't even be a topic. Yeah, we definitely do. Yeah. So persons, when they come in here, they come in there with that mindset, which is once again odd. Because if you're coming in here with the mindset of, well, you look like this and such, well, then peep the look. Do you know the culture that I carry? Do you know that when I say hashtag we be the nation, you coming in here talking about color only and don't even know nationality? You got to deal with me through a nation, through a person, through a righteous person. You got to deal with my people properly. See, if my people who are called by my name, right? If we who are called by the name of Yah, we begin to humble ourselves and turn from that stuff and turn from wicked ways, repent. We've been heard from heaven, and He beginning to heal our land, starting in our mind and even really in our heart, in our love, in our passion. It's being revealed. It's being revealed. You can't go away. We're being healed. That's why even when persons, by the way, can I say this to everybody too? I want to make this very clear. I've said it before. Maybe it's been a little while though, and I know there's something that pops up, not just at SOC, it pops up everywhere, right? No shade to anybody. It's my responsibility to make sure that as the person who's assembling, that I make sure that the assembly keeps this in mind. Look, I get it. We should be empathetic when persons are still dealing with not just racism, right? But also when persons are dealing with the effects of racism, with the post-traumatic slave disorder or the post-traumatic slave system, right? Or even the trauma. We should realize and recognize that there will be persons who will come at us, or even come at you, or even if you different colors, persons will have different things that they've been taught or things that have been done to them throughout their life, and they will automatically, because we are human beings, we will automatically have some things happen. This is why empathy is part of what we do. This is why love is part of what we are called to do. This is why coming outside of yourself, it can't be your standard. It cannot be. I've said this before, but I'll say it again. When I found out how much, not just racism at large, that's kind of something you just, if no matter who you are, if you're just honest, or if especially if you live in the skin that I live in, unfortunately in the earth, you're going to figure out racism to a certain degree, and you're either going to decide to ignore it, or you're going to decide to figure out how to deal with it, and possibly fight against it, or just make sure that you separate from it, right? That's par for the course. But all of us, can we be honest? How you doing, Eddie Perry? Thanks for being part of the community. And thank y'all for the like, share, subscriptions, hit the notification tab, all that great stuff. Every single one of us, if we be honest, all of us have gotten to a point to where we found out the truth and how much they had lied to us about a lot of things. Many of us got upset. I can't say all. I know I personally was extremely upset. I felt violated, right? And I was angry for about 2 weeks. Now, some of you, it might be years. Some of you might be months. Some of you might be minutes. I don't know. For about 2 weeks. How you doing, Minister Samela Ray? For about 2 weeks, if I be honest, I was livid. I didn't want to hear nothing from nobody, especially when I found out the whitewashing part. I'm just being honest. I had to come out my feelings eventually. But yeah. You told me that I was nothing. You told me that Israel didn't matter. You told me that Israel didn't matter, but I was supposed to be wearing stuff with the Star of David, which is the star of their king, right? A false king you're not supposed to worship. That's a Rothschild family heirloom. You know, that's their heritage passed down on top of that, right? You lied to me and told me that, you know, the Bible says that you shouldn't have short hair because it's a curse. Meanwhile, that's not even our culture. Paul makes it a point to make a distinction and say that's what y'all feel, but that's not our custom. You told, right? Like you were telling me all this stuff. You were telling me that it doesn't matter what color Christ is. But then if we want to know who his people are, we have to at least admit that they started off as something so we can track and trace them. Nothing wrong with that, but it doesn't mean that your salvation somehow can't be worked on. I was upset. I was livid. I'm just being honest. When I found out, I was very frustrated. I was highly frustrated. I was pissed to all levels of pissed. And that's going to happen. Right? That's what happened. They were lying to us. Yeah, in church they was lying to us. The circus was so great that we didn't think about the fact that, hey, we were so busy looking at the lions and looking at the tigers and the bears, oh my, and we forgot. Where's Christ at? We saw the trapeze artists, and we forgot. Where's Christ risen? Right? We heard the pastor with the top hat making sure that he was telling everybody what to do and was giving the word and was making us feel great. But we asked ourselves, but that doesn't match. We never asked, does that match what the scripture says? How you doing, Sister Baby? How you doing, Shell Shock? So yeah, not a great name at this point, right? I was shell shocked. I was hurt. I was flabbergasted. I realized I had been bamboozled, led astray, run amok. I realized, literally even, but figuratively as well, we didn't land on Plymouth Rock. You know what I'm saying? That being said, once that happens, yeah, now it's time for us to come out of it, because if we live by hate, we're living by the same thing that our oppressors live by. If you recall, that's really what the oppressors are upset about and they're frustrated about. Their mindset is at some point they're going to try to take revenge, aren't they? But vengeance is not ours anyways. And if you want to escape vengeance, then you got to leave their side, regardless of if you're a remnant that's over there trying to figure out how to act like this stuff didn't happen, or whether you're somebody that wants to come out of those nations and become part of those who are grafting to us. You said you were so angry you came out of the church and never went back. Hey, my apologies. You said your father's a pastor? Yeah, it could be a lot. You said it's not a battle against flesh and blood, it's against principalities. That's the context of that. We wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities. We wrestle against the origin of where these things come out of. Right? So, as we talked about, that's why I make it a point when we talk about these 7 heads. Right? Persons miss this. The 7 heads are part of the same beast, are they not? Right? The second beast has 7 heads. That means if you're talking about 7 heads, all 7 heads are attached to the body. So that body, that government that came out of the water, the people who serve the devil, right, that come from the devil, they're all part of the same government. I want you to catch that. How you doing, Snip Jr.? If I may, just let Holy Spirit have a way real quick, and then we're going to move on. But if I may, just real quick, make sure that you recognize that. Because that means that every head, because we only focus on the last head, and maybe the New World Order, which is one and the same, which is really the 8th, but it's kind of it's put in its own separate place. But remember, all of them were anti-Israel, and you're thinking anti-black only, forgetting that this goes deeper. Chattel slavery is the latest of atrocities towards our people. All of them deal with persons who are under the Satan, because Satan is in the Balaam doctrine, which is doctrine that was paid for, right? They went to persons who were our leaders and gave them money, give them status, give them authorities, right? And these people sell us out and give them doctrine, give them Torah, versions of the Torah, to get us to stumble. And these are the 7 heads. We know who they are. First head is who? It's Kemet. Is Kemet white? Uh-oh, see? I made a point to say Kemet, or if you want to say Misraim, or, Egypt is not Kemet. Is Kemet white? No. Okay? Well, the next one is Assyria. Are Assyrians white? And I'm talking about at their time, too. So we got to make sure we talk about when this happened. That's a big piece of this. Were the Assyrians, they were over us, and they were conquering us, and they were enslaving us, were they white? No, they were not. Okay? Next up are the Babylonians. Were the Babylonians who were doing this stuff to us, were they white? No. The Medes and the Persians, when they did this stuff to us, were they white? No. Here's one that'll mess with your mind. Because a lot of you guys, because we've seen so many movies, we go back on movies and what other persons tell us and forget what actually happened. The next one up are the Greeks. Were the Greeks white? Yes, sir. It's always recorded on the YouTube channel. I had to wait to the end to tell you what that is because I'll get in trouble just for mentioning another platform. The Greeks, guess what? They weren't white. There's a spot that I use to teach my son some things if I want him to watch something. It's called Extra History. Really great. Extra History. Check out that channel when you get a chance to. Right? Extra History. It's not always 100%, but I mean, it'll give you a lot of stuff. It'll make you think. It'll have you go down some routes. It'll challenge you when you're thinking about some things, right? I give them credit for that. They'll even come out afterwards and be like, hey, we might have embellished this, or we might not have known this, or we read this source, but blah, blah. They'll even do a whole thing to tell you what they even say, like, yo, yeah, this probably wasn't the best way for us to explain that. But if you go and watch some of those stuff, go watch, and you'll discover when they start talking about Greeks, especially like persons y'all don't even think about, like the Spartans, Athenians, persons of different city-states, because Greece wasn't a nation until they were fighting the Persians. But those persons that were at the hot gates, those 300 that y'all like talk about, you would have considered them to be dark-skinned. And King Leonidas would have had locks. But this is when you got to come outside of this, because guess what? King Leonidas, you know what? He was part of a place where they were mentors and they had mentees. And the Greeks, when they had mentors, that meant that they had little boys that they would do stuff to. Right? It was something that happened to all little boys in Greece. All little boys that were Arabic. Not all, but quite a few of them. Quite a few cultures, it was something that was considered to be mandatory, necessary. And they had color. So that means when we're talking about this tomfoolery and this nasty and disgusting stuff, we got to get away. I used to buy into when I was younger. I used to buy into that little thing. It was only for a short amount of time in space. But I used to buy into that whole thing, like, when we talk about Africans, you could never talk about an evil to happen. Certain persons who I consider to be my teachers about herbalism and stuff, saying stuff, and I have to be like, hey, I'm here for the herbalism. But that stuff right there, come on, we're not going to act like there ain't no Idi Amin. Right? We're not going to act like Shaka Zulu didn't exist. And Shaka, even though he put something together that helps us later to be able, as a people, to fight against the British. Let's not forget that Shaka wasn't out here literally before, by the way. The person trying to say when his mama died. No. Before his mama died, he was out here committing genocide. Let's not just gloss over that. Let's not forget that Kemet and Kush are known for things, and that it was persons out of Kush that ultimately lead the people who would come together and try to build the Tower of Babel. Right? Let's not pretend. Let's not pretend. Right? That Genghis Khan, although he gets, unfairly compared to some of the persons that they want to call their greatest, like Alexander and stuff, even though Alexander is doing way crazier stuff than Genghis. But at the same time, Genghis Khan, hey, a lot of evil, a lot of wickedness. We're not going to pretend that you study the history of samurais. Just study the history of samurais and find out what they were doing, and when they started losing their positions, how they basically became thugs, and they was just using their training to whoop up on folk. We're not going to pretend the color, right? And then those of you who want to say, well, white person didn't even exist, well, then who you think was doing evil? I'm just saying. So the Greeks, they were not considered to be white. And believe it or not, Romans, not all Romans were considered to be white, especially when you start talking about how big Rome got, because that means that you got to realize that Justinian had color. You have to realize that Julius Caesar is considered to be somebody who had color, right? You have to realize that therefore Octavian more than likely had color. That means you, right? These are persons that exist. That means if they're connected or married into somebody's children, like Tiberius, the children or family, or whatever, we got to talk about them possibly having color. We got to talk about the fact that you got to get to Septimius Severus, who was an African emperor, and even is the reason why the streets of London look like they look to this day. And he had two sons that sat on the throne, but they were Roman emperors. By the way, what is an emperor? Emperor is a slave owner. So you can't just get stuck up on color. We look at color as far as it because the Bible tells us specifically what our people look like, and it helps us to be able to track traces. We're not going to go away from it and act like the Bible doesn't want different types of color and that things aren't fine. That being said, though, we know what our people look like. But stop acting like evil is just attached to color. That's why some of y'all don't know who Esau is, because Esau keep beating you up, because Esau is not only so-called white persons, because guess what? Not every so-called white person is Esau. And not every so-called black person is Israel. Esau, if you know what goes on, Esau went to Kemet. Esau married into Ishmael. So if you talk about Ishmael and Esau, then you got to have a conversation about Ishmael. Even though Ishmael is our brother, you got to have a conversation. You said Septimius Severus, he didn't start the Roman Empire, but he was very big in doing some certain things. See, the Roman Empire had been around a long time before Septimius Severus got in. And how you doing, Nacha? How you doing? Is it Tunch? Not sure if I'm saying that correctly. How you doing, Greg Peoples? Yeah, so when you talk about Rome, you're talking about persons wherever they conquered. And by the way, even the term European, persons don't know this. The only reason why they call themselves European is because they want to have some weird connection to Rome, so they can say they deserve to rule through romantic values that persons have. But Europe is just a word that comes from Europa. Europa literally means anything that belongs to Rome. At one point, they even made Europa, and here's the wild part, anything that belongs to Rome was Europa, but then they even made up what you would call today a goddess. They made up a deity who was black and called her Europa, which meant when they worshiped Europa, they worshiped a black goddess that said that it was okay that everybody that belonged to Rome belonged to them. It's astounding, the stuff that we go through. See, this is why, once again, this is being revealed, it's being pulled back, and persons don't like it because we have an emotional pull, and I get it. Once again, there are some of us, look, legit, some of us dealt with, KKK in person several times, right? Some of us have dealt with racism, white supremacy in person and have gotten a lot of lumps from it. Some of us have dealt with persons who literally have scarred us and done this stuff. Some of us have been spit upon and have all persons. I've done live sessions plenty of time and have persons straight up call me the N-word during a live session. Used to bother me. Now when it happens, it's like whatever, right? But I'm just saying, I'm not saying that you haven't dealt with anything. What I'm saying is we're empathetic and we see what's going on, but also too realize you're coming in. It's time to come out of her. That means when you come out of her, it's time for you to heal. Yeah, we belong to Christ. It's time for you to heal. We want you to heal, and we're going to give you a chance to heal. But when you come in and you say this, and look, some of us, look, on the opposite end, are so messed up by stuff that we're trying to overcompensate. Color doesn't matter at all. No. Like, we don't have to go. That's something that happened in the world, because in the world they told you that color, it was all about so-called white persons, and everything else was worse the darker you got. Now that we realize that Christ had color, all of a sudden color doesn't matter. No, it's okay that color matters. And in here, now I can't speak for everybody else, but in here, we defend you because you're part of the nation. If you're evil and you're black, you're evil. If you're evil and you're white, you're evil. If you're evil and you're Chinese, you're evil. If you're evil and you're Choctaw, you're evil. If you're evil and you're Cherokee, you're evil. If you're evil and you're Swede, you're evil. If you're evil and you're Russian, you're evil. If you're evil and you're yellow or red or whatever adjectives they like to put on you, you're evil. But if you're righteous, you're righteous. And we know who the people be. How you doing, Nico? We know who the people be. Right? We can track who they are. And they'll always have certain things because we marry into each other. The believers, the family, marry into each other. We have the same beliefs, so beliefs will always track, we'll always be able to track certain traces of what we look like because we're going to be married into persons who believe. It's a familial, it's a family belief system. See, this is not only, look, this is why the person missed this. Y'all think it's cute. That's my brother. That's my, no. You're my brother because you're part of my nation. You're my sister because you're part of my nation. You're my brother or my sister because we share the same father. Our father is the king of the nation. That's why he's the King of Kings and Lord of Lords. This is why I must treat you as royalty, right? I must treat you as the Lord or the King that you are. I must treat you as the Lord of the manor that you are. I must treat you as the maiden of the house that you are, because you are not just some random person out there. You are part of the same country. And if we be countrymen, and if we can both go before the Father boldly, that means also we both are in his inner circle. See, this is law, this country, this nationality, this is nation. Nation standing up. See, this is when you start thinking about it different. Come out of her sorcery that has tricked you into believing that somehow a nation is more important, a nation of the world is more important to identify with than the nation that is the kingdom. Come out of the sorcery that has you looking to say, if you don't look like how I say you should look, you're not righteous. You said, who am I? Well, hopefully you're just saying that in general, because I didn't say how long it should take somebody to heal. That's why I said, for me, I got really upset when I learned about something. Took me 2 weeks, but for 2 weeks I hated everything. Right? That being said, when I came out of it, I had to be better. And I said, after I made that statement, I said it might take somebody 2 years, it might take somebody 2 months, it might take somebody 2 minutes. And welcome to Miss Mom, if that's your way of saying hello, right? But yeah, so I said that already. I'm not sure if you just came in and made an assumption, or if you just basically said something in agreement. But yeah, it takes persons a different amount of time to heal. But what we're saying is come out of the world and begin to heal as you're coming in. Because if you're coming into a place of healing, it's time for us. Watch this. If you go somewhere and somebody goes ahead and gives you a surgery, that's great. You got a surgery. But you're going to feel some pain and stuff. They tell you certain things, but then you're also at some point going to go through physical therapy. You're required to do a certain amount of work within yourself. Because even though we've done the work to start the healing, and even though we're willing to walk with you with the healing, if you won't take the steps to heal, then that's on you. And that, I think, is the point. More so than who are you to tell anybody? No. So, but we might be in the same place. So, if we are, that's all well. Even if we aren't, it's all great. Right? But I say that because, once again, the harlot that sits upon that beast, she's being stripped. She's being broken apart. She's being broken down. You can see she's being revealed. She's being made naked. She's being revealed unto you. Right? She's being revealed unto you. Right? As she's being revealed. But once again, this is not for everybody. Because there's many persons who are going to lament. It says when they saw her fall apart, they lamented. They got sad. They didn't repent. If you recall in Revelation, we've been seeing this over and over again, that there's chances to repent. There's chances to get it correct. There's chances to stop committing blasphemy. But many persons will see this and still just be upset and be sad and say, I put all myself in this, as if there's no other option. Amen. Study to show thyself approved. Right? They'll see the system falling apart. Right? Let's just hit a few things. So, also too, I want to speak on something. Right? Come out of the world, come out of Babylon, but also come out of her sorcery. Come out of Babylon's sorcery. Look, do you know that word sorcery is talking about a word that's attached to pharmakia, which is where you get the term pharmacy from? And it tells you that the merchants are the ones who cry, by the way. It's very specific in the language. We like to just throw random stuff around. It's very specific and strategic in the way that it's written. Right? It tells us that there's pharmakia. So these sorcerers are using what's called witchcraft. Right? Pharmakia is also considered to be witchcraft. So when it tells us in the Bible that a witch deserves to be put to death, do you not realize that those who in the Greek you would call those who are pharmakia, sorcerers? When you go to the pharmacy, that's what you're dealing with. Am I saying that you should never go to a hospital? No. Am I saying you should never go to the doctor again? No. What I'm saying, though, is that the pharmacy is designed to control you. See, a witch is one that controls. If it's witchcraft, it's somebody who crafts something that controls. Well, if we're dealing with sorcery, we're dealing with witchcraft. And somebody who is controlling persons through what they craft deserves to be taken out. That's what we believe in our culture. That's what we believe in the Bible. That's what the Bible tells you. How you doing? Step into your destiny. Right? That's what it tells you. Now you can be upset and be for saying this, but it's right there. Revelation chapter 18, I believe it's the second to last verse 23, something like that. Right? What is it? Revelation 18. We read it in its entirety today. But I believe, verse 23. It says this, it says, and the light of the candle shall shine no more at all in thee. That means that what the Most High has, right, nobody will shine. There's no opportunity for anything to be in there. Then it says, and the voice of the bridegroom and of the bride can be heard no more at all in thee. So that's Christ and Israel and anybody who's going to come out of here, right? Anybody's going to be in the kingdom. You can't find it in this thing being stripped apart anymore. And it says, for thy merchants. Thy who? Thy merchants. What is a merchant? One who sells something, right? Let's just break it down. Let's make it easy. Right? So one who's selling something. Someone who buys or sells or trades. Right? Well, thy merchants, okay, somebody who's doing this, were the great men of the earth, for by thy sorceries were all the nations fulfilled. By thy witchcraft, by thy pharmakia, even by thy pharmacy, were all the nations what? Deceived. Now Christ tells us in Matthew 24, be not deceived. They said when the eschatology, when the last days happen, we were looking for what's going to happen. What do we look for? And before he described anything, first thing he said was, be not deceived. Here it tells us that all nations, right, except the kingdom. Remember, at this point, you go back to the trumpet sound and all that, we have already been separated. The plagues, just like in Kemet and Goshen, right? Those in Goshen, Israel, were separated from those in Kemet, right? We're not receiving the plagues. But those who received the plagues, so all the nations who are selling themselves out to this harlot that's being ripped apart, they've been deceived. And one of the biggest things that have happened by the deceiver, by the adversary, by the accuser of the brethren, is that while he was accusing us, he was deceiving many of you into believing that things that are false, that are not real, are things that you should eat. Not just only in the spirit, but even if we can go to the physical. How many things are we eating today that we shouldn't even eat? Right? It goes deeper. See, we only think about this, remember, this is a nationality, this is a way of life. This is when the more you learn about the system, the kingdom, and the world that you're in versus the kingdom, the system that you're in versus the kingdom, that's what cosmos is with a K. That's what they're using in the Greek when you keep talking about the world. The world is a system. It's systemic. It's systematically put in place. So these things that you're seeing, you're supposed to be separating yourself from so you're not affected by it. And how you doing, Veil Works? Thanks for being part of the community. Right? You're supposed to be separating yourself. But you're maintaining, right? You're still maintaining the same, right? You're still maintaining the same stuff. You're thinking the system that shall die. There are all these mountains that must fall, right? All these false, fake persons they're putting in charge. Yeah, for real. Watch this. One of the reasons why y'all don't like Donald Trump, I'm gonna just tell you, he's the first president in a really long time, because he's not the first one. If you know about Washington, if you know about Jefferson, if you know about, all they were Virginia slave owners, a whole bunch of them. Even if you start with George Washington, because we know there's presidents before him, but just say, these persons are rich men and who were making decisions and were making money off of their decisions. A lot of persons forget that. That's how they made their law. They were doing stuff to make sure they benefited from it. They were not Christians. I'm not even trying to say they were not believers of the Bible. I'm talking about literally. They were not Christians. They didn't believe in Christianity. Thomas Jefferson made a version of the slave Bible that they don't want to call the slave Bible, so they just called it the Jefferson Bible. But he changed it up because he didn't believe that what had been written about Christ was what we should look at. He wanted persons to study Christ through what he thought was the best things about Christ, and so he erased anything that made him feel bad, so that we could see Christ, humanity through his eyes. Right? These are who these persons were. They were changing your Bible. They were changing your laws. They were changing the standard. They were telling you, even though they were Englishmen, and they came against Americans, because an American, by definition, is a copper-colored person indigenous to the Americas. Yet still, they were Englishmen who then got some persons to get on the boat, put on blackface, go woo, 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 throw some tea off and say, we won't accept the tax, and now get upset with you when you don't pay the taxes. But they wouldn't pay taxes because they understood that to be in debt to somebody is to pay a tax. To pay a tax is to be in debt, and to be in debt is to be a slave, and they didn't want to be a slave to anybody, even if they considered them to be their countrymen. So they fought for their independence. But here you are today, and they won't even teach you how law works to make sure, even through common law, that you would be able to not be taxed. How you doing, Garnet? Thanks for being part of the community. Shalom, Bruder Richard and family. Right? I'm just trying to tell you. See, these are things that they don't teach. You got to separate from the system long enough to be able to start saying, yeah, that doesn't make sense. Yeah, why am I living in a place to where I can't afford the gas to get me to the job, to allow me to hopefully go to the store, and they raise the price because they can't afford the gas, and they're giving me fake food on top of it. So I'm eating fake stuff. There are laws against me catching water in certain places. There are laws that say I can't grow food. I'm in homeowner society where they want to spray stuff to stop bitters from growing, but then will have me eat fake versions of the bitters to catch it, because now when I spray the fake stuff, I'm going to catch cancer and all this other stuff. So now I got to eat fake versions of what was growing, when I could have just ate what was growing. It would have healed my body. This is witchcraft, right? And the reason why persons hate Trump so much, and not, once again, Republican, Democrat, whatever, Federalist, whatever you down with, whatever color you are, hey, it's all part of the same wicked beast. It's all part of the same system. I'm just giving you this. But Trump, the reason why Trump stands out to you guys the way he does is because he's the first person who's one of the 10 horns, if you will. Now, I don't know exactly who the 10 horns are. I know what they represent. I know they represent those who are not quite kings in the traditional sense, but are the power behind the throne. This is the first time you've seen one of those horns pop up and be like, yeah, I'm straight up gonna make $4 billion off of stuff. Yeah, I'm gonna come in and I'm gonna raise half the White House. Yeah, I'm gonna tell y'all that you need to be kicked out and we need to be against these foreigners that are taking their places in their job. But I'm gonna have my wife, who I don't even sleep with, but my wife, I'm gonna have her, who can't even really speak the language, but we can talk about America, and I'm gonna have her, right? I'm gonna talk about y'all and talk about how these black women are this and they scandalous and they da. But I'm gonna have her be somebody that I'm married to, same person that was showing her literally, sorry, excuse me if you don't like the language, who was literally showing her ass. That's what she's known for. She ain't known for being some paragon of virtue. Just like what's her face? I know you want to change the story of Nancy Reagan. Nancy Reagan, forgive my language once again. Nancy Reagan was known for getting on her knees and doing that whatever. Go look it up. I'm not even joking. Some of y'all think I'm making stuff up. But these are the persons that they would tell you to aspire to be. No. Right? Hillary Clinton worked for a place that Coretta Scott King told her. She was a lawyer who worked for this company. I forget the name of the company. Coretta Scott King told you anybody that works for that company in any way, shape, or form are racist. Oh, somebody said I'm violating. TikTok said we're violating. Who are we bullying? Who am I bullying? Tell me who I'm bullying. Well, y'all, the Satan is mad today, and his imps are coming in today. First, y'all said I was giving misinformation because I told you the Bible says that the Satan is not in hell yet, in timeline, which he isn't, if you know your Bible. Now y'all getting on here and you're upset because I'm telling you about the persons that y'all swear down, that y'all get on your knees for them. And I'm telling you, no, you can look it up. These persons are not the paragon of virtue that you swear that they are. You're a liar. And you've been living by a lie. And you don't like the fact that somebody tell you you've been living by a lie. That's okay, though. That's okay. Everything that I say can be looked up. And now you're saying that I'm harassing and bullying. Who am I bullying? You see? Lies. Lies. All praises. And if I do, put something out about this later on. Those that were on today, can you go ahead and just verify if I do post something real quick and say, hey, they said that we were bullying persons and we were lying, we were making stuff up and this and that. Please, if you don't mind, just come on there and be like, yeah, he wasn't lying. He said da. Right? But see, you got to be willing to do this. And why persons do this as well is because they want to go ahead and restrict. This is why you can't be telling the truth and think that you're gonna have high numbers. How you doing, Mailman? And thanks for being part of the community. Thank you, Brother Cole. How you doing? Right? But these persons, witchcraft is literally, biblically speaking, sorcery literally is speaking about what? It's talking about pharmakia, pharmacy. It's talking about those things that are used to control you. And here you are eating things that are not real. Watch this. All right? Somebody recently, they don't have, and please don't say anything in the comment if you don't feel led to, because this was for your family, right? Somebody literally was like, oh yeah, my family member is sick, dealing with that, whatever. We've had that happen a few times, this and that. Even unfortunately, we're praying for the family members that dealt with death. Some persons have had some persons pass away recently. One person has been taking their peoples back and forth to the hospital. And they came back and they were talking about this, that, blah, blah. And I heard some of the symptoms and I'm thinking to myself, well, it sounds like, obviously there might be some sugar issue, but also sounds like it's a blood issue, especially with the blood pressure going on. And so in my head, I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna tell them about a herb, but first things first, I was like, you know what, send me all the medication that they got, because that's supposed to be the stuff that keeps the person. But the reality is, oh, how you doing, Robert? And it is, thank you so much. How you doing? Step into you. Thanks for being part of the community. So I'm thinking to myself, like, okay, I want to tell them to just go buy this herb and see if it exists where you live, and just pick it, right? And you can, make a tea or something like that out of it. But before I say it, I'm like, well, send me, because unfortunately nowadays you have to do that, because a lot of persons don't know the medicine that they give you basically is just nothing but herbs. But usually they're herbs that they have twisted, because you can't own anything according to natural law, literally natural law. When we talk about law, there's natural, what they call natural law. So if you don't know, right, if I find this tree and I take a piece of it, and I'm the first person to find a piece of it, I cannot say I own the tree because I found it. Because there's a law that literally says if the Most High made it, then you can't own it. See, we don't even know that. That even in their wicked kingdoms, they still have to bow down and be like, oh no, the Most High made it, it's not yours, right? So then what somebody would do is they'll take this and they'll make it formulaic. They'll turn it into a formula and they'll move certain things from it and they'll change it and they'll say, well, it's still the same herb, but we've maneuvered it. And now since I've done something chemically to it, I can now say that I have ownership. I can patent it. The problem with that is though when you start removing certain things, you have holes in it. Let's just call it like this. Let's say instead of it being holy or whole the way that it was intended, now it has holes in it because you've removed things. So now it has the wrong kind of holiness to it. It has a hole coming out the side, if you will. So now when you eat it, you'll get side effects rather than what you would have got if you got it from nature. So I had to double check and see what these chemicals, what this pharmakia, with these things that they say heal you, but basically you have to keep taking more and more. And I got a list, went through the list, and started checking and things and stuff. And I was like, okay. So I was like, okay, cool. You can have chamomile. You can have this. You can have that. But I was like, the one herb I really wanted, I was like, yeah, I wanted to really tell you to do the hibiscus. Right? You could have garlic too. You could have ginger. You could have blah, blah. But I was like, I wanted to tell you could do hibiscus. That's what I really wanted to tell you to do. But unfortunately, you have things that are being taken, including even some things that are like blood thinners. Now, the blood thinners that they give you in the world, in pharmacy, will cause your blood to thin and stay like that for the rest of your life. So you have to take other medications because your blood shouldn't be that thin. You have to take another medication to counter that, and to counter that, and to counter that. Before you know it, you're controlled. Witchcraft. You're getting sick off the medication, because if I give you something that makes you whole, you shouldn't have to take something else because of that. No, if I give you something that makes you whole, then you should be made whole. This is for educational purposes only. Since they already said that I'm spitting nonsense and I'm lying over here, and persons are getting upset at me for telling the truth. This is for educational purposes only and spiritual development only. I am not a doctor. I'm telling you what you might be able to research for and find and ask your doctor about. Am I? All right. So, but yeah. These are the things that are there. And how you doing, Robert? And how you doing, Brother Lamont? How you doing? And thanks for being part of the community, seeking, not shouting. right? So these are things that are there. So I'm trying my best. So I'm like, I wanted to give them the hibiscus. I wanted to be like, yeah, give that person the hibiscus. But because of that, the hibiscus can't mix with the fake stuff, right? Or else it might cause them to flow. See, if I had known that it was some stuff going on with just blood flow stuff, we would have been like, hey, you know what? You need some. First of all, you probably need, at the age the person was, you probably need some turmeric anyways. So let's deal with the turmeric. You probably need some cayenne pepper. We need to give you some black pepper on top of that because the black pepper will activate that stuff. So let's make sure you got the black pepper to activate and to make it 3-4 times stronger than what it already is. Right? Let's get the cayenne pepper because the cayenne pepper will thin the blood, but also helps to make sure the proper coagulation happens. Right? So when your blood needs to thicken back up, and when you need to make sure this stuff's back in order, we'll get the cayenne pepper will do that. Now that you have that going on and it's natural, well now we should be able to give you some hibiscus. So the person could take hibiscus but can't take it, at the doses that I would say that most doctors or herbalists, right, would take it at this dose. Why? Because of the witchcraft. Because they're into fake stuff more than they are the real, because they gave something that somebody wanted to patent that is actually making the person sicker. So I can't even say, hey, here's something that will help you in a matter of days, because the person has to have something that's supposed to have them controlled and sick for the rest of their life. This is the fight that we have. How you doing, Jennifer McClendon? Thanks for being part of the community. Yeah, this is the fight that we're going through. This is the fight that we're going through, where we can't even say what Yah made. Use what the Most High made, because somebody's out there fighting to make sure that you are controlled. So you got to come out of the witchcraft. You got to come out of her sorcery. You got to come out of her sorcery. Right? And have Whole Foods, but even when you go to Whole Foods has stuff in boxes. Look, if it's in a box, it's processed. The only way you're really going to see, this is why at some point we have to come out of her completely. The only way you're ever really going to have food that you know is not processed is because you're growing it. And you can't see some of the stuff on the side because this is difficult. It's underbrush and stuff like that. There's only certain things that are going to grow in this type of environment. But there's stuff off to the side already. And where we're headed, we planting already. We've been planting and stuff. But we're looking at doing some stuff. You got to first be able to feed yourself righteously. You have to come out of sorcery. You won't know, right? The chicken that you're getting, it's got saline in it. The steak that you're having, they're putting a bunch of meats together and gluing it together and making sure they put flavoring on it. You don't even know. The raw meat, when you're paying all that money now for hamburger meat, we don't even know if it's all hamburger. We don't know if that's all cow. The only way you're going to know is if you have what? If you have some kind of control, or you can see it from scratch. And if you can control the process to make sure that the way that it's supposed to be done naturally is done from beginning to end. But see, now, here comes another point, because if you're going to come out of a sorcery, that means that you have to go from being a consumer only to becoming someone that produces what you consume. Don't become a producer only, because you still, right? But become a producer, one that, I want you to think of it like this. Don't just think about, I cannot be a consumer. You must always consume. You got to consume to live. But be one that produces what you consume. And then watch this, and be one who loves your brother and sister enough to produce what they consume, to make sure that you consume the same thing. See, now we're going somewhere with kingdom. Now we're going somewhere with nationality. This is different, isn't it? Because see, at church, we'll preach the word to you at church, but who cares what you eat? We'll preach the word to you, but who cares if you're eating things that have carcinogens in them, that are carcinogenic? Right? Church will preach the word to you, but who cares if you drink and you've never had you never had H3O2? See, and it starts. See, that's a physical thing, but it's a topical thing. It's a surface level thing. But if we can't get it on the surface, we're going to definitely have a problem getting it in the spirit and getting it on a deeper level. We talked about that last night. Are you ready to go deeper? We talked about that last night for those that were with us last night. Are you ready to go deeper? Yes, Yahashua loves me, right? He's using Holy Spirit right now to be able to do stuff, and we're lifting him up in Revelation. Thank you so much. That being said, we're continuing in what we're talking about. We're continuing what we're talking about. It's always interesting, too. If you haven't been with us long, then somebody will always come on here, well, you know Jesus loves you, brother. Yes, okay, the Messiah loves me. Yahashua loves me. He loves you, too. So do what he says. Persons don't think that I actually believe that the Most High can love me because I'm telling you the truth. That should show you something. Like we should see that. So something should step up in us and be like, wait a minute. Us telling the truth has somebody had to come on and be like, you know, the Most High loves you. You said you saw a video yesterday that addressed the issue with the ground being, or with ground beef being mixed with human. I mean, it's possible. I think that those, and by the way, I'm not gonna act like it doesn't happen. Obviously, it can happen. Matter of fact, you know, that's why they give you a certain percentage of, you know, if you've ever gone to school, and I'm not even talking about like I went to college. I'm talking about if you work in certain states where you have a certain level of cooking and stuff that you're supposed to be doing, you have to go to certain schools and you have to get certified to be able to handle food, to store food, et cetera, right? So, you know, if you go to school, you'll discover that, excuse me, they have to, you'll be taught, you have to allow even a certain percentage of human to be in contact with yourself just because human beings are the ones doing the stuff with the food. You have to expect there's going to be a certain percentage of insect, a certain percentage of rodent. I mean, if you're going to do stuff on a huge level like that, and you're going to have huge factories and stuff, it's only a matter of time before a fly gets in somewhere, or there's become some kind of infestation, or even if nothing falls in the food, something that's on them falls. I mean, it's disgusting, but it is what it is, right? So they have to write that in. That being said, are there things where there's probably human beings? I can't tell you that, but I can tell you for sure they sell clones of human beings. They clone famous celebrity cells, and they put them in food, and they sell them online. Right? Like you can eat cloned, you can eat meat that has cloned Ellen DeGeneres in it. If you want to, you know, for those people who believe that you gain some power from eating somebody else, there are persons who do stuff like that all the time. There are persons who have ate human meat before. Joe Rogan admitted such out loud on his podcast. And how you doing? I have been sent here on Earth. I mean, it's truth. And how you doing to the other sister, Jennifer McClendon, right? It is so though. It's not something that's there. We know. And I'm sorry, Tony. I still don't know how to say the last part. Is it X streets? Two extra. Tony, 2 extra 8s. 2 X streets. I'm not sure how to say it. All right, but welcome back. Right? But these are things that are there for real. For real. 2 straight. Okay, I'll try to see. 2 straight. Okay, I'll try to recall that. And how you doing? There you go. Right. So I'm just saying. A message was delivered to you, been told to convey the message to everyone. Being a light. For whom goes by the Archangel Michael, do not worry, everything will be okay. Okay, well, we have the Bible that tells us that. And if you are somebody who's saying the Archangel Michael came to you to say that, I don't know how biblical that is, but that being said, we have something with more than that, which tells us that we shouldn't even be concerned with tomorrow. Tomorrow for us is promised. But thank you for being on. Yeah, but we had this weird thing, man, where persons don't realize that we got to come out of this sorcery. Right? At this point, look, it's falling apart. At this point, victory is over. Right? Once we get to Revelation 19, whether we start it tomorrow or whether we have to wait till after our Q&A and do it on Saturday. Once we start Revelation 19, this is a victory lap. Right? But those who still don't see it, I need you to realize, man, like it's if you don't see it, you're in the pharmacy, you're in the pharmakia, and it tells us that this witchcraft, even if you want to go to the place of those who are controlling you through all the stuff that you've been paying money for, it says that your ointments, this is literally what it says, your ointments, your fine linen, your purple, your scarlet, your vessels of ivory, your money, your horses, your chariots, your sheep, your beasts. It even talks about your slaves. Yeah. Like all the stuff that this system is based upon, they're going to be gone. It's going to be revealed. In the United States of America, the United States of America, does it have anything to do with slavery? Was it built upon anything having to do with chattel slavery? Do you think that when you go over to UAE, are there slaves over there? When you see diamonds, a lot of diamonds that are being used all over the earth, is there slave labor involved? Right, yeah. Even the slave, when you wear your Nikes, Whether it's slaves that made it in China or slaves that make it in the plantation that you guys don't want to call it that, but the plantation in the United States of America, you call them prisons. They make Nikes there. They make Reeboks there. If you work for these fast food restaurants, guess what? Your clothing, a lot of it's made there. When they say you got to wear your uniform, that's where they're making these things. Your license plates, when we have to have these license plates that they force you to have, even though if you know how to do the sovereignty thing, you don't necessarily. I don't do it per se, even though I do some other things, but still, if you don't even have to use that. But that being said, if you decide to use this stuff, where's the government getting that from? Somebody, a slave, has to make that. It's witchcraft, control, manipulation, and then have the audacity to tell you that I'm lying to you and that I should be taken down, and to say you shouldn't listen to anything that I'm saying because I'm simply just saying, look at what they're doing. Look at what they're doing. That's right. Get those low prices. The slave got you there. Matter of fact, those low prices should reveal to us that we shouldn't even be paying for it. Because for real, if they can sell, watch this. If you go somewhere and somebody can sell something to you for $1 or $1.25 or whatever it is now, but somebody can sell you something for $1, that means that they probably made it for a penny. I don't care if it's a plate or whatever. If they can sell it to you for $1, that means the product was made for a penny. I used to be a sales manager at Rent-A-Center. Matter of fact, those of you who still do business with Rent-A-Center, or you've ever done business with Rent-A-Center, or you've been around long enough to see when they started a program called Worry-Free Guarantee. There were 4 stores that they tried that at across the country, right? And I was part of that store. I was part of the store that had the most, was making the most profit. And we actually got in trouble because we started teaching persons. We started getting more contracts than everybody because we would teach persons that they could buy it off in 90 days. If you can buy it off in 90 days, don't worry about paying it off for 2-3 years. And even though the store is still going to get way more money than what they bought it for, you won't have to pay 3.5, because they really want basically bare minimum. They want 3. Is it? Well, it might be 2. It might be 2.33 times, so 233% more than what it was at 322%, something like that. I think it's 200. Let's just say 233%. There's 233% they want off of everything that they buy. Off of every single thing that they buy, they want to make 233% back. But we can get you to get a lot lesser if you just pay it off in 90 days. So we would have persons even get stuff, and we would tell them, we would call them. I'd be like, yo, so and so, they always do business with us. Her whole house is furnished. She's trying to get her daughter's place together. She's trying to get her son's place together. Tell them we got this refrigerator. We got it. Somebody paid a bunch of it off. It does have a dent in the side, but it's in the side. If they don't care that the dent is in the side and nobody be able to see the dent, hey, they can get this refrigerator for 150, 90 days in. Now, if they don't pay it off, you'll have to pay it off as if it's like $1,000 over all these years. But if they just go ahead and get it and can get it paid off in 90 days, and I would know this person, and I would teach them to come in and go to other Rent-A-Centers when they move and stuff and be like, hey, I want to see, because you're allowed to ask, I want to see your inventory, and I want to see what the remaining value is. Whatever the remaining value, that's what you want. And then you start making deals on the remaining value. Don't make no deal talking about you're going to pay it off in 2-3 years, right? Don't make no deal like that. No. I want to know what the remaining value is, and then I want to pay off whatever you're going to do. You're going to make it above the remaining value. Look, okay, you got to make your money. You got to do whatever. You can't change it. But what I'm asking is, I want to make sure, especially if you've already paid that thing off, hey, just show, if it's $50 left, because some of this stuff be looking nice. Sometimes there'll even be events, where like somebody, one time we had, some West African, I can't remember if I think they might have even been Igbo, could have been something else, but they came through and they wanted to do a huge thing for a celebration for, I think the daughter's born day or something, and they wanted to do a bunch of goat. So they came in, they got all the deep freezers that we had, they just rented them though, but they got all of them, and we had to give them it for a significant price, they had to put down. But when they put the stuff down, they brought everything back, they basically had paid the stuff off. So at that point, I just lined everything up. Hey, anybody want these things, come in here, you can get them. If you can pay $100, you can get yourself a deep freezer. That deep freezer is nice, it's big, it's worth $800. You can go ahead and get it for $100. And if you can't get it for $100 now, get it for $100 and pay it off in 90 days for $100. Right? These are things that cause freedom. But when we speak things that cause freedom, You become problematic. So even though I was one of the companies that was getting that much contracts, we were making that much money, they eventually fired me, or well, I ended up leaving, but they were going to fire me. They ended up basically getting to a point where they were upset and frustrated with our store because we were teaching persons how to, even though we were making so much money that they said, we got to try out this new idea at your store. They still were like, yo, even though we tried this new idea out at your store, we still don't like the fact that you're not getting every penny out of it. It's witchcraft. Why can't we take care of each other and make sure the person can still live all right? Why do they have to take every last penny? Why is it that somebody's not allowed to have chickens in their yard? But they're not allowed to have chickens in their yard. But you can charge them so much money. Look, if somebody ever got the game, 3 chickens in the back of your yard. We were doing this before. We're going to do it again, right? Had to give up on it because of too much travel and I couldn't figure it out at the time. But 3 chickens, right? If you can get yourself 3 chickens, you got yourself about a dozen a week, right? Mess around, put them outside, and start growing some things and start even maybe put some stuff in a certain place. Make sure that they can't get anywhere. Put some plastic up maybe or something. But get yourself together where there's some grubs and stuff happening or some things like that. Chickens will feed themselves. And then you just move them from one place to another place, to another place, to another place. Make sure that it has time to be able to get clean and stuff where they were. And you all right. But see, a lot of us, we don't even think about stuff like that. We don't even think about going to the soil. Some of you got, look, if you got an acre, you got enough area for somebody, for chickens to do what they do. What about growing your own stuff? I'm gonna show you. Even when we're going back, I'm gonna make sure that I'm gonna have some red cups, some solo cups and stuff. And I'm gonna show you guys. I'm gonna be growing some stuff. I'm gonna be showing you, oh yeah, this is a tomato, and this is this, and this is that. It's not that difficult. Put your hand in the soil. Trade with one another before you trade with somebody. Right? Matter of fact, you're not even trading with them. You're giving them money that's not even real. They're gonna use that money to trade for stuff that's real. They're gonna use that money to trade and actually buy land. They're going to use that money and put it into the system, and they're going to keep, while they tell you not to get cryptocurrency, they're going to get cryptocurrency. I need to read about Islam. What do I need to read about Islam? Let's come all about. The assumption is I've never read about Islam, which is kind of crazy. But then, what do I need to read about Islam? And if that's your way of saying hello, how you doing, Cyborg? What is it that I need to read specifically? That's stopping what I'm saying from being the truth. How you doing, Titus? That's right, they can't make a profit, they're greedy. How you doing, J44? I think it says Shalom Tabitha, if I didn't, please forgive me. Thanks for being part of the community, J44. So what specifically about Islam in mind is going to change what I'm saying? How you doing, Matt Production? How you doing, Sugar Shack? Thanks for being part of the community. Shalom to everybody on all the different platforms. Shalom, 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 peace. Yeah, persons just come through, they say random stuff. Yeah, I don't know what about Islam would stop me from telling you that we need to make sure that we support ourselves and that we love ourselves. And by the way, even Muhammad, who you would say peace be upon him, right? Even he would tell you that my canon is something that you should make sure that you know. And even if I don't know your canon, which I know more about than you probably think, and might even know some things about some of it that you might not know. But that being said, he said that my canon, even if I never read your canon, is the standard. And that if something in your Quran or something in what you do doesn't match up to my canon, then Allah isn't willing. So I'm not sure how that works. But yeah, I've read the Quran. I know enough about it. It's not my standard. It doesn't mean that I don't know anything about it. Right? So we got to come out. How you doing, Elder Tamara? We have to come out with her. We got to come out of Babylon. She's fallen. And she's sorcery. They're sorcerers. And remember, it tells us in Revelation chapter 18 that the merchants, the ones that are making money, they're doing this from a place of you not being well, not having what you need to remain well. And forgive me, y'all gonna be moved just for a second. I'm not going anywhere. I'm right here. I'm just shifting a couple devices around to make sure that everybody's getting charged so I don't lose anybody. I still don't have my normal setup yet. Prayerfully, my phone will be here today at some point. Oh no. I didn't mean to do that. My apologies, y'all. We're back. But yeah, prayerfully, my phone is supposed to be here today, I think. So It also means that'll be great. Also, too, y'all just look for me to give you to let you know. I guess I might have to ask y'all to start calling me or texting me, and texting me is probably better. Texting me and letting me know whose number's what. You know how that goes. Sometimes you get a new phone and everything transfers over great. Sometimes you get a new phone and you can't find anything anymore. So prayerfully, everything will work out easily, and I'll be able to just, as soon as I get it and set it up throughout the day, prayerfully everybody's stuff will come right back. But it could be a possibility where everybody's stuff doesn't come right back, and I might have to start from scratch. So I'll look at some of the stuff that I have saved in other places, but prayerfully we'll be able to get everything back in order soon. All praises. That's right. But sorcery, manipulation, witchcraft, witches, and in our culture, witches deserve what? How you doing, Jose de Jesus? Thanks for being part of the community. Right, in our culture, witches deserve what? So I don't have it yet. I don't know when it's supposed to come. Matter of fact, you know what? Now that I'm talking about this, let me double check. Can we take a quick hiatus? Because I don't want to be sitting up here and then they show up and they don't leave it because whatever. Let me make sure that that I know what time is coming, so I can make sure. So we're gonna come right back on that because we're gonna focus in on that. A lot of persons don't like that, but now we got to focus in on this witchcraft and what we got to do to start off in some of these witches in the spirit. And for real, be careful because the Most High, He gonna start offering some too. But I'm gonna go and I gotta double check the time. I don't have a phone, and I gotta go to a specific place where I got this posted. I got written notes all over the place. So just give me a second. I want to make sure that I'm in place and in position. But I'll be right back, and we'll start where we are. Thank you so much for being on. Please, if you can't, I get it. I'll try to be only like 30 seconds, a minute. Let's say a minute. I'll be right back. apologies. Took longer than a minute. Okay. My apologies. Hopefully everybody back with us, or those who are with us are with us. All praise. So, witchcraft, pharmakia, pharmacy, witchcraft. We have to come out of witchcraft. And this right here is difficult for some to hear, right? It's going to be difficult for some of you to hear, but it is what it is because Yah is bringing you out of witchcraft. My brother, my sister, he's bringing us out of witchcraft. This, right now, I need you to let's do this. We're gonna go in scripture real quick. Oh, sorry. So we're gonna look in scripture real quick for some scripture. Watch this. Hold on. Let's see where we want to go first. So let me see. We're gonna go to Exodus chapter 22, verse 18. Exodus chapter 22, verse 18. This is one of the reasons, by the way, they don't want you to. They want to make sure that you and I don't go into so-called Old Testament, the law of Moses. Oh, okay, it's about 3 minutes. Okay, cool. Thank you for keeping track. So let's go to Exodus 22. I guess the only thing they can say is 3 minutes because I was gone for more than I said I'd be gone for a minute. I guess that's what they got out of today so far. It was all gravy. So we're gonna go to Exodus 22, verse 18. Pretty straightforward. Pretty straightforward. Exodus 22, verse 18. And some things are straightforward. No problem. Thank you for being here, Shannon. You have a great day. May you be safe. Right? Exodus 22, 18. Exodus 22, 18. What does it state? It states to us, thou, who is thou? Who is thou? Who just received the commandments starting in Exodus chapter 20, the 10 commandments? Who are the 10 commandments given to? Therefore, who are the commandments given to? When it says thou, right? When it says thou, we need to recognize who it's talking about. When it says thou being who? Thou being Yechadashah, being Israel, exactly, right? So thou, we shall not. Thou, okay? Thou, what? Thou can't what? What is it that thou shall or shall not do? It says thou shalt, guaranteed, not suffer. That means choose to go through the suffering, choose to go through the pain. Thou shalt not suffer what? A witch to live. Now let's look at this term witch in the Hebrew. In the Greek, we know that a witch is a sorcerer. We know in the Greek that a witch is witchcraft. It's talking about pharmakia, pharmacy, right? So we already know that. In the Hebrew, what is the context? Just to make sure in case somebody doesn't catch it fully. A witch is a sorcerer or a sorceress. One who practices witchcraft or sorcery or uses witchcraft. That's it. Right? We're not gonna wiggle our way out of this. So those who practice sorcery, those who practice witchcraft, those who craft things to control and manipulate others, those who are doing so getting the drunk off of the blood of the saints and the martyrs, those who have gotten drunk off of the prophets' blood, those who have gotten drunk off of the apostles' blood, those who have gotten drunk off of Israel's blood. How you doing, Sister Deborah? Right? Those who have gotten drunk off this, those sorcerers, witchcrafts, As far as the law is concerned, we should not suffer a witch to live. Now, I'm not telling you this is free reign for you to go and take out your pitchforks, take out your knife, take out your weaponry, whatever. No, no, no. Right? That means they shouldn't be allowed in our community. They shouldn't be allowed in our culture. We don't have to take a knife to somebody that's not around us. Right? You don't have to defend yourself against PDFs if you make sure that you don't allow PDFs to be there. Right? So we should not suffer these persons to be around us. Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. We should not choose, we should not allow these persons to be part of our community. Do you know that there are churches that employ witches? How you doing, Coach Prospect? Go ahead and say so already. Right? How you doing, Neville? See, once again, persons don't like this. This is when they be this is when persons say, oh, I don't like blah, blah, blah. That's fine. It's not for everybody. This is the truth. Revelation tells you. It brings it back to witchcraft. The same thing that they told you, by the way. See, that's why you got to be careful when they tell us not to obey the law. Oh, it's glitching now? Oh, it's glitching? Oh, my greatness. Okay. I don't know what to do about the glitch. That's why we're losing people. Can you guys hear me at all? Can you guys hear me at all? Yes, no, maybe so. You guys in particular? Doesn't seem. No, we might have lost some. Can you see me at all? Oh yeah, they do. Oh, they doing some weird stuff today. Boy, oh boy. They couldn't get us on the line, so now they just starting to take us out. Can you see? Can y'all see me over here? I might have to do something over here to get them back. That's wild. Okay, hold on. All right. Hold on. Okay, hold on 1 second. I'm gonna try something. Hopefully y'all will be right back. Okay, you gonna pause for a second. Okay, let's see. Can you guys see me? Can you hear me? Are we back? I thought we were just losing numbers and people didn't like what we were saying. Okay, am I back now? We're back now? We're okay now? Okay, all right. It is what it is. They're doing some wild stuff today. I really don't have much to go off of. So it is what it is. All right, we're back. How you doing, Big Brother Thomas? Praying for the shoulder. Alrighty. How you doing? Okay, everybody can see us. Okay, we're back. How you doing, Sister Lawana? Joyful Spirit. Okay, and thank you for letting me know. All right, how you doing, Real Talk? Okay, all right. Can you guys now see me? Because I'm bouncing them off y'all. So can y'all see me over here? What I'm pointing to right now, can y'all see me? As long as y'all can see me, I'm gonna keep on going. Y'all are saying you're fine over here. Great. Can you guys see me? Okay, cool. All right. All praises. So let me get back. Let me rewind a little bit. All right, what were we talking about? We were talking about so witches should not be suffered to live. It doesn't mean that we're saying that somebody should take their pitchforks and go and try to off persons, etc., etc. Right? What it's telling us, and thank you, what it's telling us is that we don't even have to allow them to be in our presence. As we come back together, we got to get rid of witches. And I believe where I left off, or at least where I started seeing y'all was saying we had problems, was when I was saying, hey, have you guys noticed that there are witches that are on payrolls at churches? There are literal persons who call themselves witches. Not even saying, oh, the person does witchcraft or this low key. No. Persons who high key, straight up, will be in front of you and be like, yeah, I'm a witch. And they're on payroll at churches. That's not even, it's not even that difficult to find it. Right? They'll tell you and I that this stuff is made up. Meanwhile, persons are having whole services and employing persons. Right? That's why you got to be careful. I'm not saying we can't do stretches and stuff like that, but be careful when persons bring yoga religion into your churches. Because y'all think those are just stretches. You don't think about the fact that every stretch has a name. You don't think about the fact that while they have you doing those stretches, there's a lot of lust that comes in. Because why do you have to do those stretches in yoga pants? What are yoga pants? When did yoga pants mean that when did doing yoga mean that one had to show their whole body like that? Right? Matter of fact, if you know about yoga, right? I'm just showing you some things. Somebody gonna try to say I'm lying. Y'all, it's already been happening throughout the whole live session, anyways. And they still try to take down our numbers. They're trying to succeed. It is what it is. Look, let me help those who are still here. Look, do you know that the saying goes like this? There would be no Buddhism if there was not yoga, and there would be no yoga if there was not Buddhism. So in order for you to go to the yogi, all these yogis and persons go to, the gurus they go to, they're the yogis, and they go to the top of the mountain and they invite them on stuff now and they ask them stuff, and the West is getting really big into all these things in the East, etc., etc. These are persons that ultimately, for real, Buddha is one of many yogi. If you don't know what I'm talking about, basically Buddha himself was one of many persons, right? Matter of fact, here's another example one. Buddha is actually African. Indians don't like to tell you this, and therefore Chinese definitely don't like to tell you this, and therefore white persons definitely don't like to tell you this if they're in that religiosity, because they all try to make Buddha whatever they want him to be. But Buddha is actually an African. He's somebody who came from a tribe called the Enlightened people. They made their way over to India, and therefore he came out of them. He was actually a prince there and left the prince being a prince when he found out that his father had basically trying to keep like what people go through away from him because he was afraid of losing him because he lost his wife. So he leaves that and he goes and he begins to learn from other persons who are supposed to be yogis and stuff like that, who are supposed to be the persons to learn from. And he comes up with a bunch of different theories he goes to, and then finally he finds one, before noble truth, stuff like that, where he believes maybe he's found some things on how to live on, to live as a nice person on earth. And he was even asked on his deathbed, why have you not taught us about what to do in the spirit? Why have you not taught us about what comes after death? He said that's not my assignment. So he didn't believe that. But that being said, he's one of many persons, and his got more popular. And so now today a lot of persons use it. But the reality is, and by the way, kind of same thing that happens with the Quran. Like the stuff that Buddha supposedly said and did is not even written by him. It's written hundreds of years after. So we don't even know if what he was talking about is what persons are doing today. Right? Like when you talk about the Bible, we can actually date that to not just only when they be talking about the Christian stuff. We can go back to before Christ. We can see scrolls that are found. We can see who wrote it. We can see stuff on the walls of Kemet. We can see things being unearthed in Israel still to this day. We have stuff with Nebuchadnezzar's name on it and his relationship to Israel that they took over to Berlin. We have stuff that's in England. We have the steles that the Assyrians used. Like we can literally say, oh yeah, if it says in the Bible this happened at this time, we can find somewhere where it shows this happened at this time. Right? But what happens is that a lot of persons don't know that witchcraft or stuff is getting in, or persons who are crafting things that are supposed to be stumbling blocks unto you and I. Revelation chapter 18 even talks about the fact that the millstone no longer works. And while the context of the millstone no longer working is speaking to a place to where, all the things that the great harlot Babylon the Great has been doing are coming to an end, and even their works and the things they made their money off of, the things that they made them seem to be the most proficient and efficient, but really they were just drunk off their power, right? Like it seems to be going away. But also there's something that's very familiar about this word millstone, because Christ himself told us that if we cause even the least, right, the least, or even the children, the least, to stumble, the children of Israel to stumble, it said it's best for us that a millstone be tied around our neck, because we be tossed off the bridge. Not only would that hurt somebody's neck as they go over, but that means that once you hit the water, you begin to sink. It's better that a millstone be around our neck than to cause the children of Israel the least to stumble. What do you think is coming towards the witch who has made their whole identity? And witches can be male or female. What do you think will happen against the covens and the hives? What do you think will happen against the New World Order? What do you guys think will happen against the person who says that you have to, in order to be saved, you got to be able to handle a snake? Stuff like that exists, right? You never heard of that? Or there's places, right? And by the way, I'm talking in the United States of America. We ain't got to go other places where there's persons of all colors who are out there saying if you can't handle the snake, because Paul shook it off. So now somebody that became that you better be able to handle the snake or else you're not righteous enough. How you doing, Sister Sheila? Right, there's all types of sorcery that's going on. What about the sorcery that says that, hey, you know, if you don't, if, what about the sorcery where if you're a male or a female, because they do it both ways, right? There's churches that have female leadership where because they've been messed over by males, they kind of are abusive towards males, and there's churches with male leadership and they don't like females, and so they're abusive to female leadership if they even allow it. That's pharmakia. That's sorcery. It's causing persons to stumble. What about persons who are stumbling because they were told that everything about them is wrong because of just the way they look? It's better that a millstone be tied around the neck of that person than it is they cause the lead. What about the preachers who are being paid a whole bunch of gold to tell you that Israel no longer matters, to tell you that the Testament is old? Beloved, be careful. It's better that a millstone be tied around their neck. Be careful. Elohim is not to be mocked. It's better. It's better. It says that it's better for us, a witch, right? It's better for, look. A witch should not be suffered in the kingdom. It should not be suffered. This tells us a couple things. Number one, suffering means choice, right? That's part of the word, to suffer, to go through, right? To suffer, right? Or to even go through, to be passionate about something, to suffer, to allow. But also that means that witches cause suffering. Now this is something where a lot of persons aren't going to like this either. It's okay. Go ahead, be mad at me. Look, there's no such thing in the kingdom as a good witch. No, see, they did that to get you to be upset, and they want you to be against our ancestors. Okay, what do you mean? Well, Rihanna said she made black is king. All right, I'll bite. Black is king. So black is king. How many persons watched Black is King? I never really got through the whole thing. I talked about some stuff that I watched, but I never finished it. I don't even know how far I got into it. Probably a little over half, maybe 3/4 at the most. Right? But when you watch Black is King, and they were talking about, oh no, this is the stuff of our ancestors. Really? Yeah, didn't you even see the beginning where she had the baby? Yeah, she had Noah's Ark in the ocean, right? And had it going through, which by the way, that's not biblical. Number one, Noah's Ark was put in the Nile River, but was put in some reeds so it wouldn't go anywhere. It was put in a specific place. So then when the daughter of Kemet coming out to bathe, she had the babe looking in a certain direction, Miriam, his sister, put him in a specific position so that he could be seen, number one. So we're already messing around with stuff, right? Number two, if you look at the picture of her and her son that she's holding, right, in the picture, because it's her son, I believe, and that she's holding in that picture, you see that she's presenting herself as Madonna and presenting herself as the child, saying that she is the child of the one that they now have changed into Christ. If you know about Madonna and Christ child, that's something that was changed. That famous picture of Mary having the shroud on, her head slightly cocked to the side, and her son being held, right, swaddled together, that's actually from Madonna and child. That was something that was a romantic way where they worship Madonna. That's why some churches you still go to today who have those pictures or have that idol there that they still worship and they still look at, they still call it Madonna and child. They don't call her Mary, they call her Madonna, because that name, even though they say they know who they mean, that name of the false idol that they worship still exists in their head. So that's what she presents herself as. That means that her child is not being presented as Christ or Christ-like, which, by the way, why should we be thinking about her child as Christ? But her child is not even presented as Christ or Christ-like. That means her child is being presented as this other thing. And by the way, if you listen to what she said, this is just the beginning. If you listen to what she was saying in the beginning, she was saying, if you're just going, oh, it's blackity black. But if you listen, see, this is what it sounded like to me. You're going to go far further. Nobody can tell you what to do. Nobody can put their stuff on you. Nobody can blah blah. And it sounds great, but when you listen to what she actually said, this is what she actually says. Something closer to it, at least because I can't quote it at this point. But she says something closer to this. She says, "This is what this. You know, you're bigger than this. You're bigger than what they say about you. You're bigger than the Bible, right? You're bigger than the Word. You're bigger than what they say about you." This is what came out of her mouth. How do we miss that? How are you bigger than the Bible? She was telling you this ain't the same thing. And then she knows that she's got a hide. Now, some of you don't know this, but some of the most famous and some of the most some of the most observant witches, some of the most obedient witches, not obedient to Christ, obedient to witchcraft, will tell you that when you look at Beyonce, when you look at what she wears, when you look at how she presents herself as one of the greatest witches and some of the greatest deities or goddesses, if you will, that have ever existed. She presents herself as somebody worthy of worship. And she has what's called a hive. If you know about witchcraft, on some basic stuff, on a basic level, if you have a small group of witches, you would call it a coven, right? But if you have a great group of witches, a huge group of witches, you call that a hive. So when she calls it a beehive, or it's called the beehive, the beehive, she's saying not just I'm the queen bee or the queen bee, she's saying I'm the queen of the hive, I'm the head witch of the hive. Witches point this out about her, right? We just talked about yesterday that person's worship in the church of Beyonce. How you doing, Jeanette? This is real. This is stuff that's there, right? So I'm not saying even what I say. I'm not even saying what staunch believers blah blah. I'm not saying what persons who just want to say everybody's doing witchcraft. I'm telling you what witches say. They tell you, witches, head witches who teach about witchcraft, witches who are trying to grow their covens, trying to grow their hives. They say Beyonce is one of the biggest witches out there. Period. That's what they say. Now, if this is what they say, we got to ask ourselves, why are we not listening? But like, for real, if witches say, she's one of the greatest witches, how are we going to act like she's not? Sounds like the adversary want to be exalted. Come on, right? That's what witches are telling us. Witches are telling us, this is what's up with her. How are we going to pretend that it's not? Why are you going to try to play it like it's not? It'd be one thing if, Kofi was saying it. One thing if Israelites were saying it. One thing if Christians were saying it. One thing if followers of the way were saying it. One thing if Bible thumpers were saying it. One thing if it was on the Bible Belt saying it. Look, witches are saying it don't get no bigger in witchcraft than Beyonce. That's just the beginning, right? I don't recall what song, I don't recall the artist, but there was a female artist that was rapping on one of the songs. Beyonce comes in, and in the beginning she comes in and she's wearing white, and there's a serpent, or there's a guy in all red, and he has a snake on him, right? And then the song keeps on going, and you see these motorcycles that are not being guided by anybody. These motorcycles that have horns on them, red. Right, they have horns on them, and they're very demonic looking. They jump through, they even jump through the air, and they do stuff. And this woman is preaching and talking about how she is the devil, talking about how she's anti-Christ, she's anti-God is what she said. Calls herself the devil. Can't nobody mess with her. She's the devil. Beyonce is in all white. By the end of it, the one who's playing the devil, an African guy playing the devil, wearing all red, all of a sudden the serpent is gone from him. He's looking for the serpent, and then he sees that the serpent is on Beyonce's shoulders by the end, and she's petting it and walking away, while the girl is still rapping about how she's really the devil and how the devil has power. And yet, y'all are like, no, black is king. Y'all just missing the point. That's what they just said. That's what they just said. It's weird. And also, the interesting thing about that, a lot of people talk about, no, you can't, you just mad at reintroducing our culture. Where in our culture are we supposed to celebrate devils? By the way, Africa is a lot of nations, a lot of places, a lot of states, a lot of... That's not. But that being said, where is it in Africa that everybody's out here saying we want to make sure that we worship evil? If an African finds out that an African is worshiping something evil, the African is usually shunned. So what are we talking about? Right? That's just a couple spots. Right? Remember how much that persons were celebrating and couldn't wait to continue to support what's his face? And as he's falling, nobody said anything about him as he's losing his mind. Lil Nas X. Everybody wanted to support him. Oh, it's so great that he's coming out as gay. He was doing the cowboy thing. Billy Cyrus made sure he came behind him, a spiritual buck breaker. Everybody was gonna look the other way in that though, right? Billy Ray ain't had no hit since Don't Break My Heart, and since he'd been making all the money off of being the television show with Miley, but Miley was taking our culture, and then all of a sudden when she got famous enough off of it, then she said, oh yeah, you know what, hip hop music is crazy music, it's foolish music, it's dumb down, it's stupid. It got you where you needed to be, but now, oh yeah, it's stupid, I'm going back to John Cena did y'all like that too. Stole Tony Yayo's dance. Y'all think that you can't see me? That's Tony Yayo. Right? Did all that. Right? That's right. And keep showing you paganism and all that along the way. Wow. But Lil Nas X doing all that stuff. And the next thing you know, he did that video where he came down. Remember, he was all of a sudden he had to be stripping and be gay stripping and stuff like that, and then had to go down the pole in those high heels and everything, and he went all the way down into hell, and then he so he went from Eden. Then in Eden they had Adam in there, so that he could change the story of all that. And then he goes down the pole, and then he lap dances on the devil, and then at the end goes behind the devil, breaks his neck, and then when you see him again, he's sitting in the chair as the devil, and everybody was like, oh, that was just artistically done well. That was just him trying to show how he's anti all this gay hate and stuff like that. For real? Is that a normal thing? Maybe it is. I don't know. Somebody had to help me, because I don't know. I'm being honest. I don't know. Can somebody help me? Is it a normal thing that gay men talk about trying to go down and give lap dances on the devil's lap so they can become the devil themselves? Is that normal? I don't know. I'm not gay. I don't know. I'm not gay. I'm not trying to be gay. But at the same time, I respectfully, if you guys can show me, does anybody have any evidence that's a normalcy where gay men have conversations about dancing on poles and going and having Adam and changing the story of Adam and Eve, and then going down into the garden, or then sliding down a stripper pole to get to hell, and then they make sure that they lap dance on the devil and become the devil themselves? Is that normal? Because if it's normal, you see what I'm saying? I don't have to be homosexual for somebody to lie to me about homosexuality. That's not a normal thing. Somebody was doing all that to try and get you to go. They were trying to support him no matter what he did. Some persons will support what's wrong no matter what. Like we said, Joe Biden could be somebody who calls you super predators, says that your people shouldn't eat. He says that the person that he looks up to the most was, who he looked up to the most, and eulogized. He eulogized one of the greatest white supremacists, racism white supremacists of all time. Right? He then tells you have no culture. He tells you that if you vote for him, you ain't black. His wife got upset, right, about the fact that Caitlyn didn't get a chance to win, and said, hey, we should make sure that we invite not only the girls that won, but Caitlyn, because Caitlyn's more important. All this stuff happens. And then at the end, everybody says he's the greatest president in the history of president. Stop. Right? You lying. You lying. Right? Persons will support it though, no matter what. But witches, those who control, those who manipulate, that's what a witch is. Stop trying to change it. No, you don't understand. No. A witch controls and manipulates. Witchcraft is one who creates things to control and manipulate. In our culture, they have no place. Period. No matter how you want to dress it up. No matter what you want to try to align it with, it doesn't have a place. It never had a place. It never shall have a place. And if they decide to come into the kingdom, Yah says, I got something for you. Yah says, when I see a witch, I got something for you. I carry something for witches. That's what he said. Because witches are demonic. Period. But what about the good witch? Isn't that the good witch of the north? No. There's witch. A witch is a witch. Well, I want to be a witch for Halloween, but I'm going to be a good witch. And I'm going to have a wand. And I'm going to sparkle and stuff like that. Even the angel can change himself into. I'm sorry. Even the devil can change himself into an angel of light. Even the devil has gotten persons so confused to where they will be so manipulated to where they won't even recognize it. See, ultimately, that's why we're going to start dealing. Like I said, this is a victory lap happening. This is the end of basically say, look, destruction at this point in Revelation 18 has made it clear. We won. It's over. The witches have already lost. They have no life. They have no position. They have nothing left in society. Revelation 19. At this point, you're going to start seeing the punishment for the devil. Because ultimately, every witch works for the devil. Who cares? Who cares? See, that's why I'm trying to help somebody see this. Whatever your title is, work for your chavach. Because if you don't, you work for the devil. That's it. That's it. Whatever your belief system is, I hope it's kingdom. Because if it's not, and there's only one true belief system, no matter what you want to call yourself, right? With that being said, a lot of y'all going to die on some weird hill. And it's not going to be Chadmei Agadah. It's not going to be Armageddon where we protect. At some point, we got to recognize and realize who we are and what's going on. And be in right lawful standing. Right? The time is coming. And for us, really, now, who knows? Right? And the truth is starting to get out. They cannot stop it. You know what's wild? And I don't even know. I might be off on this because I don't keep up enough with it. But all those songs coming out that supposedly are coming from Iran about America, it's starting to get tiresome. I mean, the first couple of them, maybe the first 2, 3 I heard were really catchy. Now it's kind of like, okay, I get the point. You're not even saying anything. It's not even clever. It's not even no skill to it anymore. It's just AI stuff, whatever. But they tell them the truth. They show them. What's the lyrics to that? Your country. I think the hook on the one the first one I heard was "Your country is run by PDFs," and it shows Trump running, and it shows 3 girls trying to run away, and one is looking back and tries to look the other way, and he's coming up on them. Right? It showed him eating the pizza and stuff like that. The persons were saying all that stuff was there, but now you've seen all those emails and stuff with Epstein and pizza. Hey, maybe there was some truth to it. It's being revealed at this point. But these persons deserve what's coming to them. And it tells us that as they get what they deserve, this is the part that's going to be hard because many of you think that you're a bad person for doing this. The world wants you to think you're a bad person for doing this. But I'm going to tell you something. This is scripture. You ready? The Bible tells us that while this is happening, you and I will be rejoicing. Yeah, the Lego skits, yeah, there have been quite a few of them now, right? While this is happening, you should rejoice. Because this is what happens to those that come against the Most High and His people. It is a sign that you are His people, that you're watching your enemies go down. It sounds crazy, huh? Because, well, war is bad and war blah, blah. Look, we are in a place where we rejoice. That's what revel means, revelation. They are losing their minds because they're losing what power? Look, watch this. Some of the persons in your churches are losing their mind now because they have so much stock in the world that they can't take the fact that the world is falling apart. I'm getting less and less. I can't say I have zero stock, but I'm telling you, I get less and less stock in the world. And the less stock I have in the world, the more excited I am, the more free. It doesn't bother me. Look, I'm not trying to say that loss of life doesn't bother me. Hear what I'm saying? I have not been bothered at all by this Iran thing. I've had family being like, hey, you need to speak more about it. You need to make sure that you get the details. You have a platform. And I'm like, that's not what my platform is for. The Holy Spirit didn't tell me to do any of that. Oh, whoa, you crazy. You just gonna let stuff look. It has nothing to do. I rejoice when I see evil get what it gets. You think I'm upset that the United States of America, that Christian nationalism is starting to go away? No, when that happens, when that seventh head of that beast starts to go away, and persons start to see that that preacher, that second beast, is going crazy, then that means we're getting close to the New World Order. We're still not out the woods. But that New World Order about to take over. When that New World Order takes over, that means that us going to be seen. They're going to take over, and we need to be separate by that. I'm not losing any sleep. I haven't lost sleep. I got a brother in the military. Praying for you, Isaiah, if you see this. Got a brother in the military. I'm not losing any sleep. Not at all. I sleep well at night. I rejoice. I'm trying to figure out how to make sure I get as much time to in the garden as I do, and make sure I do my lives, make sure I do stuff in the garden, make sure my family's taken care of, make sure I see y'all as best I can, see y'all as best I can. Outside that, I'm not missing nothing. Come on, family. For real, I'm not missing nothing. I'm at peace. Yeah, we're here to share the word of Yah. I'm at peace. You know, I've been at more peace, not saying anything against y'all, just for real. I haven't had a phone. So I've been able to get on when I get signal somewhere. Yeah, I watch a couple things here and there. But for real, I haven't really been able to do much of anything except just focus on nature, focus on Yah. I make sure I know what time it is, because I got assignments. Outside of that, I live well. I'm not rich by the world standards, but they think I'm poor. Really, I'm rich. I used to think I was poor, but the Most High told me, you think you're poor, but really you're rich. Man, you know, the fact that I don't have to worry about this stuff, I'm rich. The fact that I'm allowed to stand on my own 2 feet, the fact that look, I say this all the time. It's so amazing to me. That little old preacher, the little old Kofi, the little old me, has persons trying to change signals and change up apps and change up all types of stuff to stop what I'm talking about. I must be pretty daggone powerful. And the more powerful I get, the more detached from it I am. Because it's not my power, it's the one who's in me. They see something in me that could cause destruction of that could destroy the yokes of bondage upon my people. And you need to know that about yourself. They see the yoke, that you have the power in you, right? Yehoshua in you, the power in you to be able to destroy the yokes of bondage that persons have tried to put upon you. Do you recognize the power that we have, beloved? By just being separate, by bowing down to our King, and not down to false ones that have no true power outside of the beast that they have to give their power to anyways. Of being separate and saying we're not worried about trying to make sure that we are in a position to be with a harlot who's fallen apart, to lust after things. You know, like persons say weird stuff that doesn't even make sense anyway. But you know, oh yeah, you know, prostitution is the oldest industry that exists. No, it's not. You think prostitution came before farming? You know what I'm saying? Do you think prostitution came before child care? Do you think prostitution came before motherhood, before fatherhood? Right? Like this system, everything that they've said about this system is just falling apart. And I'm loving it. I'm loving it, man. It's like, I don't eat at Mickey D's, but this is like a McDonald's value menu for me, man. See, I love it. I'm loving it. I'm seeing all this stuff. It's just falling apart. All the stuff they told everybody to have, put all this stock in, put all this and that. All these preachers they had up here telling you this and that. They even told you the end of the world was going to happen because of this. Even though the Bible tells us what must happen before the world ends, right? We got this stuff. Every single thing the Bible has said has been 100% accurate. I'm loving it. I'm loving it. I'm chilling. I'm chilling like I'm divine, not chilling like a villain. I used to say that back in the day, but I'm chilling like I'm divine. I'm just in love with what my Savior is doing. I'm in love with it, man. What'd you say? Philippians 4:7? Is that what you said? I'm in love with my Savior and what He's doing for me. Philippians chapter 4, verse 7. Right? Watch this. And the peace of Elohim. There you go. Now you've been just looking. Right? And the peace of Elohim. His Shabbat. How you doing, Brother Greg? His Shabbat, the peace of Elohim, which passeth all understanding. Any standard that you try to be under, any standard they try to use against you, any standard. By the way, what is a standard? A standard is also a flag. Any standard. A standard is also a flag, right? And what? And the peace of Elohim, which passeth any standard that you've tried to be under before that tries to come against you, that they try to fight under, right, shall keep your hearts and minds through our Messiah. Now, if you go back just one verse before that, though, it says, be careful for nothing. Come on. That's where we get that don't be anxious for anything. Come on, I hear you, Holy Spirit. Be anxious for what? Oh, I messed up. Be anxious for what? For nothing. For no thing. For nada. Stop being anxious. Be careful for nothing. That's the context. If I'm not worried about tomorrow because tomorrow is guaranteed. Y'all told me it is. See, some of y'all go, well, tomorrow's not guaranteed until I know everything about it. No, if the one who knows everything about it tell me it's already guaranteed, then I don't care what's going to happen tomorrow. I'm going to just do what I do, because if I do what I'm supposed to today, then it's going to lead me into my tomorrow. That means that if I have a vision on what I'm supposed to do tomorrow, then I got to make sure that I'm focused on what I'm doing today. If I'm focused on what I'm doing today, he'll make sure that the things that happened in my yesterday match up with my today and automatically propel me into tomorrow. So I rejoice in Adon always, and again I say rejoice. Right? I let my moderation be known unto all men, right? For Adon, for the Lord is at hand, and therefore I'm careful for nothing. Because I'm careful for no thing, I don't want for anything. Yahweh is my shepherd, I shall not want, I shall not lack. All my needs are met. So therefore, I'm careful for nothing, but in everything by shalach, by petition, by prayer, and by supplication, with thanksgiving, I let my requests be made known to Elohim. And when I give him my request, my petition, my shalach, my prayer, when I give it unto him, his shalom is upon me, and it passeth all understanding, and it keeps my life, my passion, my heart, and my mind through the Messiah. Salah. The witches are out there trying to put stuff out in the atmosphere to change your perspective and to get you to think something different. The witches are out there crafting up things, trying to get you to go ahead. The witches are out there saying, man, even the witches, they carry the Bible, and they sell you, and they go over and they tell you, I've got this water bottle, and I prayed over it. See, they do. I prayed over it, and I got a cloth that goes with it. Matter of fact, here, I'm going to rip this cloth over, and I'm going to put it with it. And if you would just pay $50, just a $50 seed, that's what they say. Just a seed of $50. Just a $50 seed, a seed of $50. The $50 that you give, it shall automatically, but it will establish thee. Oh, sorry. Let me rip this off. That's what they do, right? Because they don't want you to see. Let me put a new packaging on it. See, it's pure, it's clean. It's now been prayed over. Anything that we prayed over, because I touch it, because I'm the woman of God, because I'm the man of God. No. You're a devil. You're a witch. Show me in the Bible where we're supposed to be selling water bottles for $50. Show me in the Bible where somebody touches a prayer cloth and you're supposed to make sure it's shipped to you. I'm not saying that it can't, but you're going to have to give me something biblical. Y'all are sending y'all prayers into these preachers, and they taking your money, and they taking the money and the checks. They've been told. The persons who work there, they came out and they told you this stuff. Person that worked for Kenneth Copeland and other persons like that, they told the truth. They say, hey, when you send your prayer stuff in and you send your stuff in, they don't even do anything. They don't pray over it. They don't do anything. They don't look at your prayers. They don't touch and read. They don't even touch the stuff. They have their workers come in and simply open the stuff up, dump all the checks and the money and the change and everything out, and then they take your prayers and stuff and they throw them away. You've been had. You've been took. You've been bamboozled, run them up, led astray. Yeah, you have. They lied to you. Hoodwinked. Right? They lied to you. And then they told you, when pastors who have his own heart are sent to you, you think of a stumbling block, because anything that is of the Most High, anything that's for Israel, it's supposed to be a stumbling block. You're warned about it in Revelation chapter 2, verse 14. Oh, my brother and sister, if you've been with us in this series so far, I promise you, the rest of it, once we get, I'm not sure, once again, I'm not sure if I'm be able to be on tomorrow. I'm not sure about possibly tonight, but tonight should be all right. But tomorrow, so if I'm not on tomorrow, I'll make sure that I put an announcement out in different places, especially on the Blue Calendar invite. I'll do my best to make sure I put an announcement out. That being said, I'm not sure if I'll be on tomorrow or if it'll be, um, excuse me, tomorrow or the day, or if it'll be on Saturday when we come back, because Thursday and Friday will be Q&A. So if I'm not on tomorrow, it'll be Saturday. But either way, when we get back into Revelation 19, it's just a victory lap, yo. The devil gonna get his comeuppance. Those who follow the devil gonna get their comeuppance. We're gonna be where we're supposed to be. And now we're gonna start studying some things about the beauty of holiness and the things that are promised to us, where your crown is. And when heaven meets earth, all we're gonna do is celebrate now. Right? All we're gonna do is celebrate. All we're gonna do is celebrate. By the way, we should start the celebration now. That's why it's Revelation. Celebrate while everybody else is worried. When you see what's happening with the Strait of Hormuz, give Yah praise. It doesn't mean that it's over. These are the beginning of sorrows, but give Yah praise, because you know that was promised, that these things must happen. When you hear the truth that's being spit now in places that it was never given before, give the Most High Yah praise. When you see that there are persons that are saying, yes, the children of Israel never lost their place, give Yah praise. Even if the children of Israel still got to go through stuff. When you see persons are saying they should be grafted in, give Yah praise. When you see that he's cutting you off from wickedness, give Yah praise. When you see that his hand is real and that you can't be plucked out of it, give Yah praise. But this is just a victory lap. That's it. Victory is ours. It's just a lap. Get ready. Look, do you know that the only thing that you should worry about as far as the size of it is the size of your crown? Your crown is being sized. That's it. Don't worry about the size of your debt. I'm not saying that you should go into debt. All praise to the Most High. That's not responsible. But hear what I'm saying. Don't give way to being worried about the size of your debt, or the size of your illness, or the size of how many persons follow you, or the size of how much money you make, the size of your house, the size of your car, the size of this, the size of that, the size of your corner office, right? Make sure your crown has been sized. Because that's what I have waiting on me. There's other stuff, right? My work shall follow. That's what it says in Revelation. My work shall follow. But the size I'm worried about is, hey, when I get up there, there's a crown waiting on me. A crown of glory. A new name on a stone. A new robe, brilliant and dazzling. The same is waiting on you too. All praises to the Most High. Tada. Thank you, family, for being on. Tada. Mishkapah. Thank you, everybody, for being on. We appreciate you. Like I said, prayerfully, I will have a phone today. And when I get the phone, it'll take me a little bit of time to set up, more than likely. Prayerfully, I'll be able to get everybody's information, and some of you start hearing from me. If not, for some reason, prayerfully, you'll hear from me later on. That being said, I'm going to go and wait patiently. I'll probably get some reading done or something, or maybe do some workout or work like that, but I'm going to go wait and make sure I got stuff. So prayerfully, I'll be able to be in contact with you. Like I said, tomorrow, as far as the live session, I'm not sure if we will be on in the Rising. It might be short, or it just might not be. It might be later in the day, whatever the case might be. That being said, I'm not 100% sure if we'll be on in the Rising tomorrow, just because of travel, because we're going back and forth right now. So if I'm not on or whatever, I'll try to make sure, or if I'm on, I'll try to put an announcement out in different platforms, including our emails, and possibly, if the phone's working, text trains and stuff. But come Thursday and Friday, we'll definitely have Q&A. Sisters, don't forget on Friday is the women's meeting. Saturday, brothers, will be the men's meeting. I'm not sure. I think we have to move it up. But we will have a men's meeting on Saturday, so look for that to be emailed out to you guys ASAP. Also, everyone, we will be doing a 7 last word service with another assembly. Same assembly we're going to be doing the baptism for when we come to New York on July 18th. That same assembly. So if you'd like to be able to fellowship and see who we're dealing or who we'll be coming together with and stuff. We have a few of our preachers who will be on. I'll try to make sure that those preachers are recorded. But I think it will be on Zoom. So once I get the Zoom link, I'll make sure I send that, share that with everybody. I think it's Saturday, 7 p.m. Might be Saturday, 8 p.m. I'll double check. That's Eastern time, New York City time. I'll double check on that for everybody. But we look forward to fellowshipping with them and giving the word. And it'll be all the 7 last words will be on the same night. So it won't be like ours where we do night by night by night by night. It'll be all on the same night. So, but Tadach, thank you. We appreciate you. That's all that I have. We honor your presence. We hope you got something out of this. I cannot do a shout out today, but I am going to try to reach out to everybody, especially once my phone comes in. I can catch up with the shout outs. So thank you everybody for being on. We appreciate you. Thanks for joining us on different platforms today. Whether you join us on Facebook, YouTube, or TikTok, prayerfully we'll have the other platforms open up very soon. Again, once we have the other devices in place. So love y'all. Love you with the love of Yechava. And we give our honor and praise to the Most High. We give praise and honor to him for my wife, the Honorable Amma. And remember, as always, beloved, that you are loved. You are necessary. You are majestic. You are fearfully, wonderfully made. And you, which is all of us working together, will be the reason why people who are in this system no longer have to be of it. Shalom. Prayerfully, we'll see you this evening. Prayerfully, we'll see you tomorrow. But if not, we'll definitely be before you again on Thursday. And please don't forget Thursday Rising Prayer with Elder Anais. Amen. Peace.